Good night, I guess, everyone. I don't even know. Well, the U.S. 2000 U.S. Open 2018 is over, and I think that is just about the best thing we can say. One of the good things we can say, really, one of the few good things we can say. But we are mostly celebrating a homegoing than this to be like celebration and exuberance. But I mean, this is the U.S. Open, and in years gone by, it has not really been that stellar event. I kind of feel that majors kind of peak at Wimbledon. U.S. Australian Open is very exciting, and we're like, oh my god, like who's gonna win it? And then by French Open, it's like, and then Wimbledon rolls around, and you're like, yay! And then for U.S. Open, it's just like, God, yeah. When is the year-ending championship? We're ready to take our sabbatical right now. But before I go any further, let me introduce my two co-hostesses with the mostesses to our 135th, no, I tell you 131, 31st podcast. And it is a live edition, so we have viewers here. But introduce my co-host with the mostesses. We have Andreen from Solely Tennis Travel. How are you, Andreen?
Good.
And we have Janina from Florida, Ohio. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Janina, it's a strange thing when I don't have to say shit. When the shit that's happening is happening in my hometown, New York City, and not in Ohio. I mean, this is not okay, Janina. So you need to fix this next year. You know what? I'm blaming you because you let Nole win Cincinnati, and when Nole wins Cincinnati, it's just all shit.
I wasn't there for that. Federer doesn't
That's the
lose when I'm
problem.
there.
That's the problem. You left early. So I don't know what you need to do to fix your schedule or your life here. I mean, I don't know if you need to send your family somewhere else or bring them along, but we can't have another 2000. We can't have a repeat of this US Open anytime at any major anyway. And of course, we have our viewers, our listeners rather, who is live and about, who will be in the comment section. And I know everyone is like ready, locked and loaded, because everybody got all up in their feelings. Everybody got feelings and issues and comments to make about this year's US Open. And we are going to try to address some of those things, but like I said, we're going to try. But before we go any further, I just have to say congratulations to Jack Sock that Jack. I don't know why I call him Jack Sock. Jack Sock. He actually left the U.S. Open on two legs and holding a trophy. Usually he's in a stretcher or in some wheelchair or being dragged out. So I have to say the U.S. Open 2018. I was so excited for that bit, because no one needs to see Jack Sock spread out on the ground, with towels and ice bath, and this was one of the hottest US Open ever. So if Jack Sock got his life together, I don't know the fuck what's going on with everybody else, umpires included. So I don't know, ladies. On a whole, I guess the first questions we gotta ask is, what did you think of 2018 US Open? Hello?
Crickets.
You got nothing? You got nothing?
I think it was, you know what? Overall, I think it was just a miserable tournament. I think it was miserable for people attending it. I think it was miserable for people watching it. It just felt like a shit show from the get. And it never got better. Never got better. Absolutely nothing made it better. Nothing restored it to some sort of luster. No, nothing. And I think, what is it? It's also the most press release slam. Was there like a press release released like at least once or twice a day?
Yeah, I felt like everything they did, they had to explain themselves.
I know.
Yeah, like, oh, we did this. Like, oh, well, yes, this, we have a release for that. And what was funny about many of the releases is that everybody had a comment and everybody official was saying something completely different. I'm thinking in particular the Cornet issue. Some said this is a rule, but the umpire should have applied discretion. Some said this is not a rule. I don't know why he got this, and therefore when he issued a code violation, therefore there is nothing. That was just a code violation, right? Nothing came of it, no fine or nothing. But then we see later on, less than 2 weeks, it's like a week later, it's like, you issue another code violation, and that led to something else. So, there was always, of course, it's tennis, there's the flip flopping and the inconsistencies. But let us just say congratulations to the winners. We have on the mixed doubles section, I think we have Jamie Murray and Bethany Maddox Sands. Yes, they won. They beat people that I didn't really know, but they were older people, veterans. So I guess they were veterans. But anyway, they won. Um, then in the men's doubles, I don't know which one of the Bryant brothers. They look the same to me. But it's Jack Sock and one of the Bryant, I think it's Mike. Yeah, because I think Bob is injured.
Yeah.
So they won the men's doubles. They beat Cabral and no. They beat Mello and I forget the other guy. But anyway, and in the women's doubles, Coco Vandoy, Coconut, and the Body Party won the doubles over Kiki and Babush. In the women's singles, we have Osaka beating Serena straight set. Congratulations, Osaka. Congratulations. I'm not even gonna say congratulations, Coconut. But for the Body Party people, man, good for you. On the men's section, surprise, surprise, Nelly, the underdog of the century, Nole, came and beat Delpo and in straight sets. So Nole has his 14th major and he looked like there is no stopping him. And I think Chris Fowler said that he's at the same age now when Pete Sampras was retiring. So I'm just saying it's a different world because Federer won a major at 36 and a half, basically. So we're in a whole new different world of tennis altogether, people. Am I forgetting anybody else? The only juniors I know are is Coco Gauff. She won the girls doubles with another girl. That's as much as I know I pay attention to. Well, I didn't even pay attention to it, I just saw tweets. But anyway, I'm trying to find the comment section which we have, and I'm unable to do so where I can see everyone who's.
I was actually in the wrong one for a minute, and Maya just texted me asking if we're live. This is what happens when you got 3 streams going.
Well, there are viewers, so I know that we do exist. There are people definitely listening to us.
Let me see if I can try to find the correct one and tweet it out again as you look around. Yeah, I'll try that. Anyways, how did you feel about this overall stuff?
I mean, I wasn't particularly. I went to the event on 2 days, and I can't say that I particularly felt any sort of energy and enthusiasm about it. I do have a funny story to tell you. So I went on Friday night to watch the quote unquote historic, Venus versus Serena Part 30. Shit that was usually a shit show. Thanks, Venus. And as a no surprise, it was a shit show. Venus was there being her generous self, giving Serena the points and whatever. I mean, that's just my opinion. Serena stands can take that however they want to take it. Anyway, so I was just like, I'm sticking around for Delpo. I'm not interested. I'm so mad because Serena didn't have to do Venus that. You were going to win the match, girl, but you didn't have to give her breadstick. That's just disrespectful. You could have, on the same day we buried Aretha Franklin, you buried Venus on court. The whole crowd was trying to cheer for everybody, and you just gave her a breadstick on 6-1, 6-2. I was not feeling that tennis. I was just like, let me get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so I don't really want to go home just yet, so I have my tickets, and I was just like, I took a friend of mine, and I took back his ticket, and I said, I'm going to give this ticket away. And because of Oak, who is, a huge Delpo fan, this year, I said, what? I'm going to give it to some Delpo fans. I was going to go to hell and, meet Delpo fans and give them this ticket, because, every once in a while, I try to be nice person. So I was sitting there and I was just like, I'm hearing people like, ole, ole, ole. And I was just like, oh God, I can't deal with bros. But there was a couple sitting next to me and I asked them, like, are you going to the Delpo match? It's like, no, we couldn't find tickets. And they're clearly Spanish speakers, but they clearly live in New York City. Anyway, I said, do you want some tickets? And the husband said, how much should they cost? He was like, no, they're free. He's like, for real? I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to watch Delpo. And they're like, for real? I just like, you can definitely have it. You know, the wife is trying to give me her earring. I was like, Miss, who does that?
She was trying to give you her earring as what? Payment for a ticket?
Yeah, she was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry, you know.
What kind of earring was it?
Serena, it's clearly women's earring. And I was just like, Miss, I didn't even have my ears pierced.
I mean,
Like,
was
does
it like
that?
diamonds? Because maybe you should have taken it.
No, she just like give it to your girlfriend. And I'm looking at her like, honey, girl, I don't do girlfriends. You know, like, what are you talking about? I was just like, Miss, you came here wearing these earrings. Like, what? Like, why would you? Like, no, I don't want your earrings. I don't even have pierced ears. She's insisting, like, give it to your girlfriend. Just like, Miss, no, no. Here are the tickets. Go enjoy the match. You can watch it. You wouldn't even miss the first game. Like, you know, run and go get the seat. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so thankful. And it's just like, I did the good deed. No, Delco. I did all of that. Okay? I could have thrown my ticket in the garbage. I did all of that. And you showed up in the finals and didn't even win a set. Rafa decided to give you a solid and be like, you know what? I'm going to set up this match. Delpo, you go. I'm not even going to even try to drag you for 5 sets. And Delpo didn't do shit in the final. That was just a waste of time. I mean, so for me, you know, that really, when it comes to the tennis, really, that's really the low point for me. And it kind of encapsulated the tennis for me because the tennis wasn't necessarily memorable at this US Open. It wasn't. There was so many things that marred a lot of the matches, and we're not even talking about the Serena incident. We're talking about the heat. We're talking about the rules, how they apply the rules. Like it was just a general shit show. It felt like if how else to put it? It felt like if Nole Fam put on a Grand Slam. This was just supposed to be. It was just supposed to culminate in Nole winning. Like whatever else happened, it didn't give a shit. You understand? If it makes any kind of sense, just the way in which just seating, just being there as well. Because I went the Monday Labor Day. Just the general vibe didn't feel like it was anything. It felt like an overgrown 500 level tournament.
Wow, Andreen, you were there. Did you feel the same way?
I think it was just it was messy. You know, it was messy and loud and big and boring. And the tournament is just too big for, I think it's too big for where tennis is, but I just think, I don't know, it's just like a big sprawling mess. It was the least enjoyable slam I've been to in a long time, and the least enjoyable US Open I've been to in a really long time. I know it's a little bit of a downer, but it was just boring. It was just it's it's hard to get into. It was, but I think you're right. The weather contributed because it was really unpleasant to just be there. And so it was hard to get into matches and it was hard to be excited. And I'm just shocked. You know what? I'm shocked by the number of people who left like after an hour of like a Serena match. Like once Serena beat like her opponent, like in the evening session, they were gone. I was like, dude, those tickets are thousands of dollars. Why are you leaving?
Yeah, because if you love tennis, that was not the match you really came to see. And Zenobia, I am not being extra. I am just real, and it's true. I mean, like, I don't want. I mean, and they thought I don't want her earrings. Didn't even look like gay jazzy. They were just like a woman's pair of earrings.
Okay, we got the earrings. It's okay. There's lots to talk about. We can move on from these.
No, because they're like, you should definitely take the earrings. It's like no,
Well, I mean, you can't. I mean, I don't know. You can't melt it down for gold.
It wasn't those kind of earrings, and she was a smart woman, okay. But she did invite me. She worked at the Metropolitan Art Museum, and she just like, you can definitely come there and hang out. I was just like, cool.
Obviously, they don't pay her well enough to buy tickets to the U.S. Open.
Well, no, I mean, like, I think
you jackass.
You know how the U.S. Open works.
Okay, let's move on. Let's get into some of the action. So like we've been meandering around the nipple. Let's get into the action.
That's actually squeeze the boob. For me, the men's tournament was usually you can count on the men of being solid, right? Generally, right? The WTA is usually solid in the first week, fizzles out in the second week. The men are kind of like in the first week. And then second week, they're like some solid matches are there, right? Some apes and wannabe, whatever you mean. I think just about the only standout on the men's side will have to be Diva versus Dominic Team. I mean, that's the only thing that like pops
No,
out.
it's Diminar versus Chilich.
Ooh, you watched that?
Alex Diminar versus Chilich was very good in terms of atmosphere, passion, length of match, all of that, stakes.
Okay, I mean that is a fair assessment too. So we can then add in here that like, and I'm just saying, having considered this whole major, I really think people who are talking about best of five should go down to best of three needs to shut the fuck up because I tried that shit. Yeah, majors are bust. Nobody paying money for this shit. Nobody will be paying money for that shit at all because there is nothing dramatic.
Okay. Wait, where are you going? Stay in line.
No, I'm just simply saying, just like if you're talking about because the two matches that are standing out here to you, for us, are the 5-set matches, right, on the men's side.
Well, there was just interesting things going on. It wasn't so much because it was 5 sets; it was because of the nature of what happened. I mean, if it was like a really nicely played best of 3, 3-set match, it would have been good too. It's just that those were the storylines because people were fighting back and forth, and the person was leading to. Like, I would have thought, like, if Alex had done it in straight sets, I would have still thought that was a good match from somebody who was an outsider and done it in 3. It wasn't so much that it was best of 5; it was just kind of the nature of the interaction on court. The audience was really into it. That's what stood out. And I actually have to say props to I think props to Rafa fans and Rafa. I think Rafa played the more compelling matches of the tournament on the men's side, only because he struggled through all of them.
And that is true.
You know what I mean? Like, it gave people a ride, right? It's like his matches were more than 2.5 hours long.
Kachanov.
Yeah, Kachanov. I mean, he basically held the young people at bay until his body fell apart against Delpo.
Okay.
Listen, that's what happened, right? I mean, his matches were the storylines in the sense that there was stuff going on in them and you weren't sure what was going to happen in terms of the outcome and you didn't know if the players are going to be brave enough. I mean, Kachanov, if he was a different sort of player, should have probably won, but didn't, right?
Yeah, I would say that there is I am back and forth with the young players, and I know everyone wants to beat up on the young players, but there has to be something to be said that the more experienced player, the quote-unquote richer players, which not quote-unquote, they are richer, Rafa, Djokovic, those players with money, they have a lot of resources at their disposal, and they are coming out, no matter however they look, they are the fitter player, right? Experience does help, but they can fine-tune their game and their level and behavior, unquote, far better than I think the other players, the younger players. Because when I looked at if you consider Federer versus Nick Kyrgios, and everyone was talking about that match, Federer played like shit. But I was not surprised that he got his ass kicked by Millman this next round. His backhand was non-existent. And the reason why he won that match is because Nick just lost his mind. Like he just played when he lost that first set, knowing that he was the one playing the better tennis. He couldn't tell himself in the second set, like, oh, well, you know what? I was playing the better brand of tennis. Let me keep doing what I was doing, right? It was just scoreboard pressure that came to me when I was serving to stay in the set because he wasn't missing any first serve. He wasn't missing any second serve through 5 games, through 4 service game. But when it came to the 5th one, he just completely became like a mess. But no, in the second set, he was just like, oh my God, fuck this shit. I'm mad and whatever the case may be. I could have been here. I could have been a setup lead. And by then, when he caught himself, he's already down 2 sets to love. And when in the 3rd set, his body isn't necessarily fit his personality to get across that mountain again to be like, I have to now win this match in 5 sets. He's like, fuck it. I'm not interested anymore. So it was, to me, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if the young people are ever going to be able to bridge that gap because of the money issue. Because I think money and, like being able to get, like a physio to work on your body, only you know what I mean, and can pay someone high professional to get a dietitian and all this kind of thing. You can micromanage your fitness is going to be, I don't think that they're capable of doing that. So to me, I think we're going to continue to see matches and big tournaments being played out with the older players being the one to win the title and not the young ones. Unfortunately, on the men's side.
Well, I think also because, to be honest, I mean, I think even Federer acknowledges that if the courts are slower, it gives the older players more time, and they can work their way into a point better. I mean, I think the court speed, which everybody was talking about controversially, I think court speed could help the younger generation. I mean, like the court speed killed Del Potro today.
Or being slower.
Faster. I just think Del Potro had no help. Like Del Potro couldn't play his game based on the court that he was experiencing today. Like his forehand had no zing on it. He didn't have a kill shot. You don't imagine
couldn't penetrate. He couldn't penetrate.
Yeah, he couldn't penetrate. And you think about Kachanov in terms of the Rafa match, even like Team in terms of how much power he was showing on his forehand side. I mean, I just think the court could help younger players. It could have helped Nick. I mean, you could help the players so that they're not actually having to deal with grinding points, right? Like that could help if you want younger players to step up. I think a court shift could help, which I'm sure is part of the reasons why the Australian Open sped up their tournament, even though everybody says it's for Federer. I think it helps their players too. Just like how the U.S. Open assumed that a slower court would help theirs. I'm not sure why.
Well, here's the thing that I find confusing, right? I saw the tournament director was on Tennis Channel, and he said, like, I wasn't consulting with the players, and they all say, we want a slower court. We slow it down just a hair. Motherfucker, we ain't stupid. If it has a hair, that's like 50 camel hair, you slow that shit down, right? That was like some Yaki, some Yeti, you slow that down, that kind of hair. And I'm just like, I have not heard a single player say, oh my God, I love these slower courts. None said it. So I don't know who he's exactly talking about. And I know, here's the thing. If Dominic Thiem and Kachanov did in fact, take out Nadal, they would not have been fit for the next match. They wouldn't have gone all the way to the title. And that's just the problem.
Why wouldn't they have?
I just think that it was just too exhausting and their body would have broken down. Someone would have just snatched that right away.
Oh, you're talking about if given the court that they had now.
Right. So if they were able to get over that mountain, I don't think it would have taken them very far because it took so much out of them.
But also the conditions. I mean, it was just I think it was a deadly combination. I think it was super hot. And then it was also, they chose to slow the court down this year and use a little bit heavier ball. And then I think the humidity caused the ball to even be heavier because of it was just wet and heavy. So I think it was just like a horrible storm, like a combination of things that made the USA just a little bit more laborious for people to get through. So it just wasn't fun. It wasn't joyful.
I see people talking about, I see someone talking about Kachanov had 66 winners and Dominic had 74 winners. Yes, yeah. But how many strokes did it take for them to get the winner? It wasn't a 1-2 kind of punch. That's what I'm talking about.
You need 1-2 punch if you're younger. You need the nick. You're not grinding out. You need a big serve, a couple forehand exchanges, and that's it. You can't be grinding and running around.
You can't get a winner out of a 15-shot rally. You can't be doing that. Multiply that by 74. It's too much. And I mean, I watch a lot of even Federer's matches, the heat and the slower courts. Plus you're in a condition where there is no elements to help you if you're playing on ash. The wind is non-existent, right? There is nothing to help you. You're in that steamy, hot, heated condition. Plus, the noise and all the distraction. Carla was complaining on the women's side that she couldn't hear the ball. So she couldn't really, players relying on all of their senses to react to the ball. She's off when she was playing Madison Keys. She went to the umpire and said, can you tell them something? Because I can't really get into the ball, and I think the conditions just doesn't help for tennis. It's not gonna change much for these young people, for the younger men. On the women's side, you're going to have different because you have different technology altogether, right? You have a different ball, you have a different racket, you have different power ratio. So you're going to get, everybody can come in here and snatch a major basically if they put themselves together to get it. But on the men's side, I think you're going to continue to see these kind of flip-flop, these kind of just, the usual suspects winning. And if a young person does break through and get to the final, they're not gonna be in any shape to be really competitive. It's just
Well,
going to be like
it depends on who's there, right? Depends on who's there.
well, chances are it's gonna be one of the big four is gonna be in the final. They're not gonna meet two young people. It's not gonna be like it's not gonna be a Kachanov versus Chung. That's that. But
I mean, I think it's interesting because everybody's saying how like it's really great to have Novak back, and it's good news, and now the race is on, and everybody's really excited. But I'm sitting around going, is there really a race? It just feels like a return to Novak's previous.
Yeah, we're back to the same place we were a couple of years ago.
What I mean? Like we're gonna be back to 2011. Where Nole is going to be the foil for the younger players, and he's just going to roll over them.
Yeah, because
so I, you know what I mean? Like I wanted Del Potro to win just because I also think it was just new. It would be nice to have a new breakthrough because I think
it's new.
Well, it compared to who we have left, but I just think you know what I mean. Like I thought the men's game. No, honestly, I thought the men's game needed a new winner. Like I really do. Like I just like
it is. We are in a really sad state when we consider a past Grand Slam champion a new winner.
But you know what? Because I mean, he left with what we had. But
he had to become a brand new player.
But think about it.
I don't care. It's just fucked up.
It was boring. But just think about it from Ash's perspective. Like, look at that stadium. That stadium is not full if they don't know your name. So you cannot have the top three guys, at least on the ATP side, be the only name. So if the idea that people are excited that Novak is going to be the next person who's going to go on a run and cock block all these young kids, I just think the ATP needs to figure out a way how to get themselves a new winner. This storyline cannot keep happening. People need to get familiar with a new face being on that big stage because I tell you, new faces, a couple, and a couple recognizable names. Like honest to goodness, no, I mean you're not going to fill Ash with anyone outside of these top names. You're not. And I thought about it when I looked. I was like, damn, look at all this investment the U.S. Open has made and the USTA has made, and I'm like, you better hope that you get some new fun names in the next 2 years.
because and here's the thing. This is how slow the court was, right? Everyone has been dragging Dominic Thiem for his lack of no game for hard court. And there's Dominic Thiem playing 5 sets on the premier hard court surface against Rafa. Yep. So that's how slow they played the French Open, which we would have loved to have seen. That's why the French Open finals was played here on Ash a couple nights ago.
That was the final y'all wanted for the French, right?
That was the final y'all wanted for the French. And y'all got it the US Open.
But I mean, I think the prognosis for the women's side, though, is great because although, I mean, still, if you think about the people who are watching, I mean, I saw the number of people who are watching Madison Keys play. Like, I thought people would recognize Madison and care about her on Ash. You know what I mean?
Stop being silly.
I don't mean to be mean, but literally the only people that anyone showed up for on Ash on the women's side was Serena. That was it.
But here's the thing, though. Both tours, WTA and the ATP, are guilty of it. We're just selling, the big stuff. They're not selling anything compelling about the other people.
Listen, I think they try. I think I see a lot of things about them. I see a lot of feature stories, but I don't know what it is, but it's just not breaking through. It's not because I thought Madison is all over the subway. Madison is all over.
But yeah, Madison is all over the subway. And all people are going to be like, this is an American girl. Isn't she an American girl? That's all they're going to say, right? And I'm sure Madison probably get people asking whether she's Heather Watson. I'm sure that happens.
Heather Watson. They don't look anything alike.
Sure. Of course they don't look anything alike, but that's not how people operate. I mean, ask any tennis player, they're going to tell you. People come up to them and call them all different kind of names. But anyway, I'm just simply saying, you got to sell the tennis. You got to sell coming to these matches are worth watching, and it's fun. And y'all can't be selling these courts because the women's matches were basically flops. And I think the last compelling match probably was Serena, fourth round, Serena and Kia Kanepi
Yeah, the third set.
and Sabalenka versus Osaka.
Yeah, that went 3.
And those are fourth round matches.
Yeah,
and then afterwards, yeah, there was nothing memorable about it. There was no memorable tennis.
Yeah,
afterwards.
you know what? That was the problem.
Because the other thing we don't talk about is that women have to play on these same slow, hard ass, slow courts just the same.
But their balls are a little lighter.
Different. It operates differently, but they don't get any fun. That it doesn't make for any fun matches, conditions, with the conditions, etc., etc. It just becomes like wah wah wah. So everyone came.
The funny thing is, you had the sense, because I was there at the match live. You had the sense that the Osaka match could have also been done in straight sets against Sabalenka.
Yeah.
It's just that she lost her focus. She just lost her way mentally. And that's the only reason why that match was even remotely interesting, it seemed, was because she just lost her way. When she got herself back and under control, it was fine. But yeah, I mean, actually...
that match was that match was dramatic, though. There was some, there
was some drama to it. But none of the matches... It's so interesting because on paper... some of the matchups seems like they're going to be great, and then when they finally were executed, they're just like they were straight set beatdowns.
Oh yeah, I thought for sure Osaka versus Keys was going to be 3 sets, right? But then that's just me being
Osaka had other news.
I mean, let me be nice to Maddie, right? I think Maddie has been here before. She's been to several semis. You know what I mean?
But you know what? Madison had chances. Osaka saved those break points.
Yeah, she did. She did. I'm surprised she didn't cry, but she did.
She cried later. Her ass cried
because
later.
I'm not laughing at because when she was playing Sabalenka, she was hiccuping on the court, like literally about to play a point and hiccuping. Like she was like losing her mind. And I think once she got over that hump, because this was a place she'd never been before, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because she had made the third round. She kept flopping in the third round, made a fourth round, flop, and then she got past the hump. She's officially in the second week.
Yeah.
So I think once she got through that mental hurdle, she's just like, you know what? I belong here. I don't care who's in front of me. I am snatching weight. I'm coming for it. And good on her for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the draw, and I'm just not remembering any matches. I'm not remembering.
Well, I mean, I remember Carla taking out Maria.
Easily.
Right, but that was for different reasons. Because first of all, we know Carla should have taken out Maria, right? She's not on her spinach, so we know that was going to be.
I mean, let's just call a spade, and I said this on Twitter, but I will say it again here. Maria Sharapova ain't done shit post Meldonium. She hasn't. So people need to wake up, smell the fucking coffee, and realize that this bitch was doing something. I'm so sick of hearing, oh, it's not a PD. Oh, it wasn't helping her. I don't give a fuck if it was mental, if it was physical or what. But for 10 years, this bitch was using something, and then they took it away from her, and now she is just average at best. So,
but did you see? But what I thought was interesting with that matchup, it wasn't even so that Carla was playing smart tennis. Was just how Maria looked. Maria was exhausted. She was her face looked.
But then also, let's be fair. That was also the night that Federer lost as well. So it was also potentially
brutal conditions. Definitely
brutal for her there too.
Right. Because she does have a breathing problem. According to one of the
according to her medical reports, she does.
Right.
Out how to take care of it yet, because Meldonium was not replaced with anything. I don't know, but
the same pattern of play which took her out earlier in other places was the same pattern of play Carla was applying here.
Oh my God, Carla was running her down.
Exactly. If Maria's not in the left, she can't do anything. She is just a waste. She's just useless behind the baseline.
And
Carla's backhand was popping.
She was one of the most beautiful things that we have ever seen in tennis. It really is.
She was hitting it deep, and poor Maria had nothing left. I mean, I was like, oh dear Lord, but it was beautiful.
And all of the sides spin to that backhand, like the ball was going all over the place. Like Carla was just like pick a spot.
Oh my God, we have to tell Janina. So Reels and I are watching. We're watching the Sharapova match, Standing next to a Sharapova fan.
Oh God.
No, wait. You have to explain. She's not a Sharapova fan. She's a Sharapova and Serena fan.
I
I'm just
know.
like,
That's impossible.
you're
That's
bipolar, babe.
impossible.
You are bipolar. You are bipolar.
No,
I don't know,
great.
bipolar, maybe multiple personalities.
So we come out and we see the score because we're doubtful that Carla is gonna really take the first set. So we come out, we watch her take this first set. We're like, yes, this is getting good. And the woman next to us, she's because she was one of the security guards, and she's like, oh no, this. I'm a Serena fan, but Sharapova, I really want her to get through this match. And Rios and I look at each other and go, that those two things don't go together.
Emma.
You should have sang that Sesame Street song.
We totally did too. We looked at her and were like, sure. And then we proceeded to cheer so hard for Carla. She gave us the side eye a couple times. She came over. She's like, I don't know if I can stand next to you all.
Oh my God.
It was great. We were extra. But also because Carla played beautiful tennis.
Yeah, it was really good tennis. It was top-notch tennis. I mean, Carla was feeling us out.
And Maria looked undone. She looked disheveled, as Brad would say.
I can't even believe that Chris is making me remember that I have to come for him for saying he likes Carla's hair. Listen.
Carla's making some improvements.
I like her.
Carla ain't making no goddamn improvements. I don't know who you're trying. She will make some improvements when she gets her teeth fixed.
Oh my God, you're horrible. But you know what? I thought that you said that if Carla beat Sharapova, you were going to stop making fun of Carla. I thought that was
exactly.
And the following tweet was, okay, who am I kidding? I'm not, but I'll try.
Oh, you're horrible. So I guess according to us, none of the matches were really memorable because guess what? Everyone thought Ostapenko and Pova was going to be good, and that turned out to be a shit show.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. I mean, no really memorable matches on the women's side.
I mean, women played consistent tennis. I thought Serena played good tennis up until she got to the finals. I mean, the serve is back in regulation. She's wearing it. She's like, she can call upon it. She's hitting some aces. I think that was very apparent from the second round that she was definitely feeling herself a stroke. Fuck what's happening to her in the finals. Osaka is playing solid tennis again. I mean, she showed it in Indian Wells, and then she lost away all the way until. So it is exciting to see what will. I don't know if Serena's gonna play much for the rest of the year, but I just hope Osaka doesn't take the Ostapenko, the Monica Puig,
No, I don't think she will.
What's her name?
Or maybe
Ivanovic route.
Maybe US Open jinxed her, and so she'll become the Sam Sosa of the tour.
Shit.
Right. Yeah. I just hope that she's able to, that she can see that, like, I am a good tennis player. I can call upon my tennis resources in big matches, and I can sing. Serena versus Venus is always generally boring.
No, it's not.
Yeah, like, honestly, full confession. Serena and Venus matches do not get me excited. They haven't been good for at least 10 years. They're not good. They don't play. It's like Serena and Venus matches are like Fidel matches. They don't play their best tennis. Serena might play her best tennis just like Rafa does, but Venus does not play her best tennis against her.
You see, I mean, Zenobia, I think you're saying Osaka is a mature player. Let's just wait till we see her a couple of tournaments on the consistency. She can play mature tennis at Indian Wells, but then didn't do anything.
But then she just kind of like lost her way.
Let's remember what happened to Kerber after she won her first slam.
And there'll be
Kerber. She just fell apart. She didn't know how to handle the media pressure. She just completely fell apart. Her next year was horrible. So
but Angie had a great 2016. She was consistent. And she had shown that she was
have a great year after she won, though.
The following year. That's not true. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
She got to the Wimbledon finals in 2016.
And she had a bunch of early losses. We dragged the hell out of her. What are you talking about?
Look, my point is, and she won the US Open. when she really fell apart was 2017. That's when she really fell apart because Angie had not just been showing solid tennis in 2016 when she won a major. Remember we call her the Queen Vulture in 2015 because
Yes, I
she was
remember.
the consistency, and that's what I'm looking for Osaka. Not just to be consistent at one tournament, right? You need to be consistent
But I
on
mean,
the
Well,
tour.
I was trying to get there, but you didn't let me.
yeah, but I think we have to be patient though, because first of all,
She's
she's there,
20.
there's gonna be tons of demands, and she's gonna have to figure out how to manage that. Like I don't necessarily
Right.
know if she's gonna be the type of person that falls apart. I think it's just gonna be managing all the demands on a person like her, because now the sponsorships are gonna roll in, and all of the extra commitments that is a part of this is going
And
to.
she's a national icon now.
Yeah,
She's
so
gonna be a
yeah,
thing
so
in
those are the
Japan.
things. Can I just say it was so funny? We're watching the Osaka Keys match, and these Haitians were out with their flags, and I was like, okay. So I'm watching the Serena match with a real Serena stan who's like completely nervous, and of course I'm always like, why are people nervous in a Serena match? She
It's
usually.
Sevastova.
Well, yeah, but you know the thing is, we have this jinx because the two of us have watched.
Oh yes, you were there. I was there with you when you watched this.
I've watched Serena lose with this girl. I don't know what happened. We keep going to semis together, and Serena's been losing, so she's like, "Oh shit, I think we might be a jinx." So I was like, "Oh no, I don't think she'll have any problems with Sevastova," but I was like, "I don't really know," because everybody kept telling me it was going to be a good match. And so Serena's doing well. Which, by the way, I must say the U.S. Open audience has gotten much better at appreciating Serena. We've sat through her matches several times, and it's clear that they wanted her to win this time. So that was really, really good news. So then my friend's like, "Oh, I really want to know about this. I really want to know about Osaka, So I shared the Christopher Clary article from the New York Times, and oh my God, Christopher Clary decided that he was going to talk about how her Haitian roots was reflected in the spices that were in her home.
Oh my God.
I didn't read it. Seriously, that's what he said?
Oh my God. It was like a weird turn of phrase. Because it was like, even though she was raised in a Haitian household, there's a part of her that is still quintessentially Japanese. But then the odd part of it was, at some point in the time in the article, Osaka said something about she doesn't even know, she doesn't feel American. She's an immigrant or something. And so my friend was like, what the fuck does that even mean? What is this? Oh my God, I'm conflicted now. Let's start cheering for Keys. But it was
Christopher Clary did not do that. Like when you have Chris Evert just started to bounce to.
But nonetheless, I'm just gonna say that I was reading the Christopher Clary article. There's some problematic elements in it, but I think mainstream people are gonna really enjoy it. But but the embracing of her Haitian and Japanese roots thing, I have to say it was really interesting to see the audience like really bring Haitian flags to celebrate her. And when she was playing against Sabalenka, let's just say all the people of color were cheering for her. So there's a sort of
like Japanese. I had this woman next to me. Oh my God, she would not have put her shoes on. But I'm a black man in public spaces. I could be shot. So I just gotta deal with this woman. But everybody was living and dying on Osaka's point. Yeah, and I was just like, Osaka's about to cry. Like, y'all clearly don't know this woman, right? Like, she's about to cry. Like, come on. Like the pressure. But
they're prepared to love her. I think people have been wanting her to be a big deal, and I think given the time and given the chance, I think everybody's excitement about her is actually, not about her personality, because I don't find her compelling in that way, but I definitely think that she is going to have the look and the sort of appeal that people are going to be like, I'm curious about her. Maybe they put her in a subway. Folks might actually show up for a match in Ash. Sorry, Madison. So I think that there's good news for Osaka in that way.
And she's definitely embracing, being half Japanese and half Haitian. And she's just
she needs to push Haitian more.
But no, I think it's the media who's just saying Japanese. She's like, I don't know where y'all come on this side they're from because I'm half Haitian and I grew up in a Haitian household. Like, I just like.
She's like, Haiti doesn't have the money, but Japan does. So anyway,
I was just thinking she wears a noodle sponsor, so that's why.
She got the money, but I'm just saying, she's like, I mean, her father, I mean, like, is the inspiration, is the driver behind her tennis, and
Yeah.
he's the Haitian half. So
But she
I
was
find it
good.
really suspicious about when people keep saying she's Japanese, and just
We
like,
keep hearing that she's Japanese because she plays for Japan. I mean, it's
Exactly.
really not that.
yes,
It's simple.
Yeah. It's
Don't make it more than it is. It's her. She
okay.
plays for Japan. I mean, her major sponsorships come out of Japan. We don't see her father because apparently he's too nervous to watch. We see her mother all the time, who's Japanese. So I think it's only natural that most people look at her as a Japanese woman. But I think you also look at her and know that she doesn't look like what we expect a Japanese woman to look like because she's so much darker complected as any other
But
Japanese person that I know, but I mean I don't think it's I think it's reasonable why we call her Japanese
well,
all the time.
here's the
She
odd thing.
plays under that flag. That is what we
But
see
here,
in her match every tournament.
well, no, but here's the odd thing is that ever since I've heard of this girl, and I've heard her for years now, she's always claimed to be biracial, half Japanese and half Haitian. So it's not like we hear about Maria being American, she's fit for Russia. So it's not really, and
I don't think that's
I
the case. I
think
really think it's more of what country she plays for in the way that she's exposed by tennis, not how she exposes herself to the world.
not
Because
what
she
she
talks
owns,
about
because
it.
I think she owns what she is in terms of her identity.
right.
I don't think it's a comfortable narrative for the other people who want to
That's what I'm
write about
talking
her,
about.
because they
That's
don't
what
know
I'm
how to write about her as
specifically.
somebody who's
Right.
biracial with the Haitian part, except for with the spices in the home.
Right. Because so people of color are always about food, right? It's only food, right? Then they're gonna say Osaka is spicy. It's that Haitian. When she turns around and tells someone in the press conference, "Fuck you, my sister don't understand." So I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. It's gonna be like the Haitian spice comes out in Osaka. Like,
You're a mess.
wait for it. Wait for it. You would see it. You would see it.
Oh my
Wait for it.
god.
Maria is only Russian when she's icy, and she's like, that stare, Serbian. But I was like, she's an American girl. Maria is such an American girl. She speaks English, like she's an American girl. Like she should be for Petco, but it won't be for Osaka. But anyway, now that I think, as to the final, I
Mhm.
thought that she, like I said earlier, she came out, and I think Serena is
Oh
having,
wait, I found the quote. I have to.
mhm.
I grew up surrounded by both Haitian and Japanese culture, she says. Her father's parents, who spoke no English, filled the air with Haitian Creole and the aroma of spicy Haitian stews.
God.
It was great. Anyway, she knows how to have spicy. Anyway,
Oh
so,
my God.
but yeah, so the match. Let's get into
Right. I mean, Serena is getting, I for one, I know Janina is gonna disagree. I thought people put too much weight of expectation on Serena coming back. And I think people wouldn't feel like the comeback is official until she wins a major. But she's
Mhm.
got to two consecutive major finals. Her comeback is official, people. She might not be cool on the regular tour, but like she has been doing for years, is that she is prepping and focusing on the majors. And she's there, right? She's almost there, I guess. And I think this match, like a lot of her matches, is becoming like more than just a tennis match.
Yes.
And that's what is troubling me for a very long time. It's the problem with the Vinci semifinal. Like everyone was there not to watch a good tennis match, but to witness history. And
Yes.
I know people like to say, yeah, this is about sports, man, of the case to me. But y'all just fill the air and the place with too much of that thing. And then it never leads to quality games, right? And not just here, in other sports as well. This comes up in other sports, right? And sometimes maybe it's easy, maybe because tennis happens so often, it's difficult to avoid this thing. And also because the media don't have anything interesting to do. So they just keep talking about this thing because it gets more click and trend in social media. But I think it sort of like puts so much pressure on these events because that match had the capability of being a really good match. It's
It
reset,
could.
right?
It could.
It could have been. It should have been. but it turned into like, oh, I'm here to witness Serena getting Peggy's 24, and people, it ain't a thing. It ain't gonna change anything if Serena gets 30 majors. Y'all know this. Stop with this
But I mean,
nonsense. It doesn't mean anything.
separate from that though.
That separate from that.
But separate from that though, Reels. I think you have to say that it's also not just her fans putting that on her.
Oh, I know that.
I think for the last couple of years, Serena has really embraced that aspect of wanting to excel in that way against the folks, and against history and all of those kinds of things. And I don't think that's something other people have put on her. I think she's with that.
Well, and I don't know who is in her box, in her circle. I don't know if there's an engaging there. How I always advocate for getting your box. But I think it's a very problematic setup for her, because let me tell you something. Historically, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. That no matter however you prove to people, on the privileged class of people, a group of people, no matter whatever they do, respectability politics doesn't work. Winning 50 million gold medal doesn't work, because they would always move the goalpost.
I'm less concerned about that.
So I think putting that pressure on your head, on yourself, that you will embrace some kind of legacy. And I don't know, like it just seemed like when Serena gets into these moments, it's not Serena anymore. It's Serena getting to that point, and then Serena becomes another different person.
Why do you think that this is different from any other sport is my question. Because I hear you, we talk about this all the time.
What do you mean I think it's different from any other sport?
I don't understand why you think that this achievement of goals, whatever it is only on her. It's not. This happens in every sport. That's what sports are about. Sports are about being the best, breaking the records, being better than who came before you. And that pressure is put on every athlete who is at the top of their game. But I don't know if it's because, I know you watch sports, but I know you don't watch the mainstream sports, I guess we could call it. I don't see a big difference between the pressure that gets put on Serena as opposed to the pressure that gets put on, say, Peyton Manning or Michael Phelps or LeBron James. I don't, it's all about breaking records and being the best. Now, whether or not she can handle that pressure, or if she puts it on someone else, or if she puts it on herself, I don't know that that's relevant. What's relevant to me is that she is a professional athlete at the top of her game. And this is what you expect from an athlete. This is why they play.
I disagree with that. I disagree with the piece around. Reels is talking about something separate, but I actually think that the things that Serena is imbuing her playing with her matches with now is too much. Like, she's like, I'm so disappointed because I wanted to prove to mothers. I was like, mothers? What the heck does you know what I mean? It's like one of the things that seems to be missing when Serena gets to the final is there's like so much tension in the match. She's going for so much. There isn't a real sense of freedom in her play. And maybe we're attributing it to the fact that she is added all these other pressures to the moment. But that's the only way you explain the Vinci loss. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the Vinci loss makes no sense because
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, but it is the reality. If she can't handle the pressure, if she can't handle the pressure and she cracks under it, I don't think we get to fault anybody else. I think you are 100% wrong.
Hold on.
Janina, why do you think that's changed for Serena though? Because Serena was just like, she was just winning and being at the top of her game for years and encountering these players and doing all this kind of stuff.
Like, she rarely ever, because if you look at these, let me just say, when you talk about Peyton Manning and LeBron James, that's a team sport. When it's Michael Phelps, Michael Phelps is doing right now, he's on TV talking about how all that pressure led to depression. Most of these athletes in individual sports speak about the pressure and how these things get swallowed anymore. Because Michael Phelps wasn't just going for, it's true, athletes have records, that they want to do and whatever the case may be. But that moment is what solidified NBC 2008 Olympics. There's a lot going on. This isn't just about athletes, it's about the money that is surrounded. When Serena was going for that Grand Slam in 2015, I heard someone say, if she gets it, I'm going to get a ticket parade for her for the streets in New York City. And it became such a big thing. And I'm just saying that for me, I'm not saying that these things don't exist in other sports. Yes, they do. Pressures or records and whatever the case may be. I'm just saying that for me, for her, she is allowing these things to get too much to her and become something else. If you look at 2011, right? 2011 US Open, she lost to Sam Stosur in a very flat match. And I think part of the frustration was that I think she was exhausted. She was up all night working, working late night match. And also because it was going to mean something because she had just come off an injury and she had just taken names all through that summer. Taking names. When in 2012, she had these inexplicable losses at the 2012 US Open, Australian Open. I think maybe Heath, you could probably give that. But she lost to Rosano, first round, French Open in that tic-tac green thing. So there are times when, yes, the pressure becomes too much, it becomes a distraction, and she doesn't get her best tennis. And probably this is why in a lot of these matches, you see her quote-unquote acting out, or whatever you want to call the situation. Because I know with this new reiteration of Serena, where she's getting the marketing deals, she's become this quote-unquote icon. Because let me tell you something. Serena didn't need 2015 to get any of these things that she's getting now. She really didn't need it because she had done enough. Serena had done enough to get all of these sponsorship and whatever the case may be. And let us not sit here and pretend that part of the reason why Serena is getting part of these, is getting all this attention is because their golden cash cow is a doper. So that completely changed the landscape of female athletes because it was Maria at the top.
Of course. I don't dispute that for one second. They didn't have Maria to go to anymore. So all of a sudden here's Serena. But I do
and she was bankable. And she was bankable. She's
always been bankable, but that's a whole nother issue that we've discussed. She has. She's always been the better player.
Serena?
She's always been the best.
We're talking about
he's talking about bankable. The perception of
bankable when taken to Madison Avenue.
And I'm saying what I'm trying to say is that she's always been bankable, but she wasn't allowed to be because there was Maria. And you are 100% right. She's been put up on this pedestal now because Maria got knocked down. I don't disagree with that one bit. We all know why she is at the top where she should have been all along. I don't think that's debatable. But I don't
wait, Rose, what is
I just think it's really weird to say that she's performing in a certain way because of pressure that's being put on her. It doesn't mesh well.
Doesn't it strike you? I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but doesn't it strike you that Serena does know that she's occupying a different echelon now?
I think what's weird is that you just said she's played. It's weird to me that some people, and you just said, you're like, what is this? She's saying I'm playing for the mothers. I don't expect anybody who's not a parent to understand that, but I will tell you that becoming a parent changes you from your core. And it's not something that's debatable. It's not something you can ever make someone understand unless they have experienced it. And I will be the first person to tell you that people told me that I would feel different. And I was like, no, I wouldn't. I'm already a mother. I have a stepchild. Well, let me tell you something. I felt different when I gave birth to my own. It changes you. Janina. So I think it is unfair to say that it's weird that she's like, I'm out here representing mothers.
No, but Janina, no one saying that.
But what I'm saying is that she doesn't have to represent mothers.
No, she doesn't have to. But if she is out there saying it, who are we to say it's not genuine?
I'm not saying
because here's the thing.
Then what are you saying?
Here's the thing. Here's what I'm saying. Okay, Andrina, let me see what I need. Here's what I'm saying. What is happening to me, in my opinion, it becomes Serena. If the focus isn't about Serena, the athlete, right? It becomes Serena marketing extraordinaire to do so many things. When I hear people talk about Serena is doing it for the mothers and proving mothers can do this, it's an insane theory because women have been doing this since the war was won. It's been happening. Women have to go back. We see pictures of women taking the children out farming and they're living baby and they strap onto their back and whatever the case may be. So this idea that somehow in this whole social media environment, everything becomes brand new, everything gets remade, and
I
somehow
don't
this,
think anybody's calling it brand new, but it is a big deal.
but it's
That's
not
the
necessarily a
difference.
big deal because women have had babies and been at the top of this
Okay. Well, you know
all
what?
the time.
Wait. So we might be going around in circles, but let's just pause here for a second. But I think one of the reasons why this is important is because I think if you're going to be sensitive to the fact that Serena is bringing a lot of these things into the match, then I think when we think about how umpires and people interact with Serena, I think we have to allow for them to approach her with some compassion, which I don't think is happening. Like I think, and I think when you say it, people say, because listen, I was cheering for Osaka. I wanted Osaka to win because I'm of the mindset that you actually do need new champions now on the tour, because I think it is getting a little bit serious. But and I was totally for Osaka. I was wanting Osaka to come out in a third set winner. So, but I actually didn't see the match live. I was coming home from a flight, blah, 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 everything. So when I heard the score line, I was like, wow, that's really easy. Wow, that's better than I thought. I was excited. I was hanging out with Jen. I'm like, that's great. Great for a young person to have that win. And then I came home and I watched the match. And I have to say, I was surprised at my own reaction watching that match because to me, it seems strange that people don't bring in Serena's history with this tournament. The history of officiating, the history of bad calls, the history of the various moments that she's going for when these things have happened to her. She's usually going for something really big. It's her home tournament. And so I think part of the reason why I take this seriously in terms of all the weight is that I think that impacts what's going on with Serena in those matches. And the fact that you're like, well, all other athletes are, no, I do think that there's some pressure, some special pressure that Serena is putting on herself. And so I think that has to be taken into consideration when she's having these moments in the slam and the reaction that she's having at the US Open.
And part of that consideration and the reality could be she just can't handle the pressure.
And that's fine.
And that's okay.
And that's fine. But also part of it is the recognition. Listen, when I hear commentators talk about the men, and this is the part of the sexist challenge that I don't think people are acknowledging. When the commentators talk about Fed and Rafa and Djokovic, they give them so much leeway in terms of the pressure of the moment. They really do. And when Djokovic is freaking out, I mean, umpires are letting him do it because they understand like this is a tense moment, and we put a lot of pressure on them to compete with each other and keep that race going on the men's side. What I think I noticed and really attended to for the first time was how much pressure is going on with Serena and how little that is attended to by the people who commentate or even talk about the match. And then also the umpiring. Like it just, so the fact that, she could game point in a match that has so much significance, it just would never happen on the men's side. Nobody's going to let a
No, of course it wouldn't.
Match
it would not. It absolutely would not.
But I mean? But I think a part of it is maybe gendered, but a part of it is also this lack of recognition of how much pressure is being placed on Serena in these moments.
Because here's the thing. But here's the thing. Power point this out again. That Serena getting to 2 major finals is not enough for the public. It's not enough for people, and people are making that seem like she failed. She got to 2.
I mean, but we're talking about a separate issue now. What I'm talking about is less about the public and more about the interaction in the moment,
right?
And in her press conference, she talked about the need. She talked about it being sexist, and she said that this was her speaking on behalf of women, and people criticized her for that. But you know what? They would have. came on her so hard, the whole fucking world would have come down on her if she would have said, this is what you always do to me when I'm here. So you kind of have to go, does she really mean like I had to speak up in the moment because this wouldn't happen in a men's match? I'm sure she did, but I'm sure that a lot of that train of thought absolutely came from her past history with this tournament and all
And
the
that's what
shit
I
that has
mean. And I
happened to her.
think,
But she can never say that. She can't say that.
He can't. I mean, we have Hawkeye because of Serena's match.
Oh, I
Exactly.
know. But listen, but if Serena went in that press conference and she sat in front of everybody and she
And
said,
nothing happened to that
remember
umpire.
this, remember this, remember this, and remember this. If she would have done all of that, then she would have been the angry black woman.
But you know what?
Already.
She was already that.
But you can't give them the fuel that they
but
really
don't
want.
need anything for that. They don't.
But honestly, you can't give them what they want. But you know what is interesting, and this is what I mean. I just think the flavoring of how these moments just aren't really being. I mean, I think maybe Pam said something about it. Pam said, I think she had a tweet, and she says, given the history of Serena's performance at this tournament and the way people have treated her, you would have thought that they would have found an umpire who would have understood the moment. This umpire treated this match. I mean, listen, I get it. You know, maybe all matches should be treated the exact same, like it was a first round match, but it is a fucking final. You do, and you understand the history of Serena's play, which is right. Naomi Osaka they were just back on serve. This is possibly the turning point of a match where Serena is going to dial it up and maybe it's going to get real close. Maybe Naomi Osaka was going to win again. Maybe she still would have. But you notice that this is what happens with this champion. This is how this champion adjusts. You let her rant, you let her rave, and you figure out how to de-escalate this moment because you will say to yourself, this is a match. This is what needs to happen in the match. Like I don't know. I know like a lot of people last week were talking about, you know, Mo, and they were talking about humanity and all this kind of stuff. But, you know, the reality is even though they did two different things, they both failed in the exact same way, which is that they both inserted themselves into a situation that got in the way of the tennis.
Which is a clear rule violation on them.
But here's the thing.
Wait, what do you mean, Janina, in terms of that?
There is an ITF officials code of conduct. I spent all day reading all kinds of shit because I'm coming with the facts. And there is a very, very, very clear rule that officials must not do anything to determine, manipulate anything whatsoever the outcome of a match or to show any partialness to either player. They are not to do that.
It happened. I just think to myself, you are an official in this match. This is a match with a moment. This is what this is the difference that is happening between the men and the women. And maybe when you use gender bias, it gets people.
And you know, this is the highest rated match of the US Open.
Yeah, I know. But you know, that's what I mean. Like, it's a match of consequence. When men are having matches of consequence, umpires are not involved. And when they get involved, people get pissed off because let the men fight it out. Let the men decide. So you know what? And I'm not even one to rush with the sexism argument because I think the way we use sexism argument in tennis is real lame. But I do think in this moment, the fact that this man thought it was okay that he should decide the outcome of this match, it was just really appalling. Like, I'm just like, let the tennis decide. And you know what? And also historically, this was a comeback moment in the match. And it could have changed the flavor and the complexion of the match because you know what? Naomi Osaka was swimming all along, just like in the Sabalenka match. She was swimming all along. We thought she was fine, and then she lost her way in the second set. So then what you've done is you've really interrupted the rhythm of the match when it was really clear to me that he should have read the moment and de-escalated Serena and said, you know what? I get it. You think I'm just saying that your coach was coaching, but you're not cheating. I understand that. And then, you know, giving her the soft warning of like, listen, you really need to stop. Let's get you focused back on the match. Get out there and compete.
He didn't even need to do all that. He needed to say, as he has given the courtesy of Novak Djokovic just last year, after giving him a violation, not a warning, a violation. He later in the same match told Novak, you better cut it out or you're going to get another one. He didn't do that favor to Serena. And that could have been the determining factor. He could have said, okay, listen, you're getting a coaching warning. I believe you. Let her rant. And then when it came up for, racket smash, whatever, before you get a point penalty. All right, fine. It's a point, right? It wasn't a break point, I don't think.
Yeah, it wasn't.
But it's a point. At that point, he probably should have said to her, you know what, Serena? Realize that the next time it's a game penalty. He could have extended that courtesy to her.
Or you don't assess it because it
Or you don't assess it.
Or you don't do it because it rarely happens. Why are you willing to listen?
Actually,
but my problem is that we keep hearing that he followed the rules, and that he's a rule follower. But he clearly doesn't historically follow the rules.
But it's not even that.
Wait. He is one to follow the rules, but he follows his rules in his given moment.
Up to the moment.
So don't tell me that he always follows the rules. If he gave a point or he gave a penalty to Novak Djokovic and then did not give him a point penalty on the next time he had an infraction, he did not do that. He gave him a soft warning and said, next time it's going to be a point, when that should have been the point. So he doesn't act consistently.
And
but here's the thing. Here's why I'm gonna miss
the consistent
because earlier in the week, right, we had an umpire follow the rules and issue a violation to Alize Cornet. She was off of the changeover. She got up off of the changeover and delayed play. She didn't change her shirt on the changeover. She changed it. It was on the wrong side. She said she got up, play was ready to go, and she stopped play and just turned around and changed her clothes. Right? It took like 15 seconds. The umpire issued a warning. Everyone said that was sexist. No one claimed that the umpire was doing his job then, but is in fact he did his job. That is part of the rule. She was holding up play.
It's not part of the rules.
But I think there is an unstated thing here. My only thing is I think that there is an umpire bias to let the men duke it out, because I think that is also a very sort of masculine idea. We don't need someone coming in telling us what to do. I think that's the sort of subtle gender bias that is at play there, which is that men, and oftentimes you actually hear it explicitly come out of John McEnroe's mouth. He'll say it in a really tense match, especially between the top four in their rival. He'll say, we don't need the umpire in this moment. No, take that away, especially if it's a warning or something like that. That's not what we need here, because these men are duking out. They're they're warriors. Let the tennis decide.
They don't even. But
the fact that umpires, and what I'm trying to tell you is, I don't think that subtle understanding is there in the women's game. That similarly. These are two competitors who need to have it be decided by their own efforts. I don't understand what kind of an umpire, listen, I get the rules, but to this day, I really don't understand why an umpire would feel that it is in their power and even right to dock a full point in a best of 3 sets. It's best of 3 sets, and it's usually the second set. You are changing the course of the match.
We need to back up, but we need to back up a minute and discuss the rules, because Cornet did not break a rule. There is no rule.
Yes, there is a rule.
No, there's not, Reels. No, there's not. And if there is, then find it and show it to me.
Janina, the rule is that she held a play.
But that's not what he gave her. He did not give her a time violation. He gave her a code of conduct.
That's what you can.
No, when you get when you get a time violation, they say time violation. When Novak got one today, he got a delay of play warning. When that's what they want to give, that's what they give. what my point is, there is no rule that says a woman cannot change on court. There is a rule that says that they must be provided a space to go change to,
Janina,
should they go please.
Hold up. Let me explain something. Connie didn't change her clothes on the changeover. The
I
changeover
know
had
what
ended.
happened.
He went up to play. When the person, when I forget who it was on the other end, was ready to play, she stopped, turned around, and changed her clothes. That is a code violation.
For time?
For sportsmanship, it can, because remember, tennis has this very open ended where you can assess a whole bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay, so then tell me.
Because here's the thing. Whereas the USTA said that there wasn't a rule, WTA then said this is a rule, but we have different things going on here now. Everybody issued a different statement because what WTA then, what the USTA in essence eventually said was that, oh, it's unsportsmanlike conduct. See, because she's holding up for the other person. What the USTA eventually says is like, oh, he just issued a warning. There was no penalty after that. And there will be no fine against that. And also, you can assess someone a fine for breaking a racket, even though you don't call it on court, because usually umpires collect the rackets that are broken and then they're assessed the fine subsequently.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you that I looked for this rule. I searched the rules for this rule, and I didn't find a rule. There's not a rule.
It doesn't come under like changing your clothes during a changeover, whatever the case may be.
But there must be some discretion. So
discretion on the unsportsmanlike conduct, because here is your opponent. You just got up off a changeover. You went to the end to serve. You got ready, then stop, turn around, and then you held up play.
But the problem is he issued her a code violation for doing that. If he wanted to issue
conduct.
Okay, we can't go back and forth. So what is the distinction for you, Janina? What does it mean?
For me, there's no rule. And if there is a rule, I want someone to show it to me. Because I read the WTA handbook today. Okay. And I looked for it, and there's not one. And I will be the first person to tell you that it's hard to find rules in tennis because there is the set of ITF rules, there's the WTA, there's the ATP, and there's the Grand Slam people. And all of them don't make up their own rules. Some of them just defer to the rule of the other governing body. However, for me, the distinction here is up until about 30 seconds ago, Reels has always said that this was a time violation and she was given a code violation because of time, but she wasn't, because he didn't say this is a time violation. And my point is, when an umpire wants to say that this is a time violation, that's clearly what they say. We see it all the time.
Okay.
Now,
so,
to say that it's
because I think you're misunderstanding my
Okay, wait. So I think to not get into the sort of minutia about this, I think one of the things that's been a challenge this week, though, if we talk about this, is tennis is clearly inconsistent with its rules. But I feel like I don't know how it is in other sports, and you all tell me, but do other sports spend this much time letting the rule interrupt play? Because, as I looked in the back and forth and all this kind of stuff about, the Serena thing and how it overshadowed the moment and blah, blah, blah. The one thing I kept thinking to myself is, you can assess this stuff afterwards. Why let it interrupt?
No, because tennis is the gentleman's court. It's the ladies and the gentlemen, and they're supposed to behave in a certain way. The USTA puts out a publication called The Unwritten Rules of Tennis, and we have seen people who go against the unwritten rules of tennis receive fines. So it's a bunch of very, very blurry lines interpreted however whoever deems fit, and it's bullshit.
It creates a bad setup, because to my mind, listen, it would have been far more impactful if like Osaka and Serena had been allowed to finish their match, and then like fines and point docking or all kinds of stuff be assessed afterwards, right?
When
the punishment is still like if you won that match and you were supposed to get 1,000 points, and then we go back and we revisit what happened in the match. We didn't stop play. But we assess what happened. We're like, you got a code, you got some coaching. Look at the video, blah 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 blah, and then you say we're gonna dock you 100 points. Like it just feels like that's a better use, because it's like these conversations about these informal rules and how it gets regulated, or it just distracts from the very thing that a person shows up for, which is to watch a tennis match. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well,
And
you see
also, I
this
just
in
want to point out
basketball.
that soft warnings, and this, I know we talked about soft warning and how soft warning is a much a part of tennis. It's not in the rule book.
yeah, you don't need it. So I don't even know why we would even do soft warnings. I just think that for my mind, I just think that when tennis has a spotlight on it, it just looks like this weird niche, kitschy sport with these weird ass rules that are inconsistently applied. And when you ask someone who's even covering the sport to say, what is the rule? They can't explicitly tell you.
Yeah, because we have video footage. We have video footage.
So don't say it. Don't let it interrupt play, and don't let it get in the way of the audience enjoying. Like they ruin. That's what to my mind, that's what the umpire did in the Nick match, and it's what the umpire did in the Osaka match. You ruin the tennis that is happening because you cared more about this weird ass rule that if I asked you to tell me what it was, you wouldn't even be able to tell me.
And here's the thing that I find very suspicious about this whole thing, about all of this issue came down to coaching, right? Supposedly on-court coaching. Here's the thing. We know this happens all the time in tennis. Every single time. We see this on video. I know I watched Osaka Sabalenka, and I was watching Sasha, and I was watching I was actually sitting in front of, I could see Tursunov directly in front of me, and I was watching Sasha. Tursunov said nothing to Sabalenka. He barely even clapped. He knew that he sent out someone out there, and he felt that, in my mind, that she was capable of the job. Osaka was constantly communicating with Sasha, whether she was saying with Sasha whenever she was on his side, constantly. I could see this. Everybody in the crowd could see this, and I'm sure it wasn't missed by the umpire. We have seen it, and I'm not saying this to say, oh, this happened, why it happened to Serena. If it happened to Serena and we're saying it's fine and it's fair, okay then, fine and fair. But here's the problem. Tennis isn't consistent with its rules. So you can't be out here fighting for Carlos Ramos and saying Carlos Ramos is right to apply the rules when we know on-court coaching happening all the time and no one is docked a game ever. You can't show me any receipt for that. You can't show me how this escalates to any case where players have egregious behavior, and show me how someone has been docked.
Because umpires have been unwilling to let a tennis match be decided by their own umpiring. They don't do it. They are less likely to do it because I really think there's enough in some weird way. I don't know how that gets communicated, but there's a communication and an understanding that it is not my job to make sure this match gets decided by me. But somehow or another, there's a lack of confusion on the WTA side. Because let me tell you, when somebody was talking to me about it, I was like, listen, it's a bad look that for two significant matches, you guys have given Serena's opponent game points in second sets. It's just a bad look. And I don't care. And, maybe people feel like, oh, it's stopping the Serena monster and all that kind of stuff, which people all went off on, which, by the way, whoa, I mean, listen, I'm not.
John McEnroe didn't have one isolated incident, so stop saying he was defaulted out of the Aussie Open.
Yeah, I mean, let's stop. We don't have to refer to the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. We can talk about what happens now because umpires understand players. Listen, umpires will let you rant because they're like, you're working it out. I've watched Radek rant. I used to watch him at the US Open, and everybody says, you know what? He's using it to get energy.
Andy Murray?
Yes, no, but what? Specifically, Andy Runny, sometimes he does it to the umpire, but sometimes it's to his box or whatever. But I know that Andy Roddick used to engage the umpire to give himself energy, and that's how they thought about it. They never thought about it as aggressive. They never defined it as threatening. They never defined it as low class. They never defined it as any of those things because for them, it was the heat of the moment competition, and they were letting the men work that out. Why?
I can even tell you 2000
given to Serena is a real open question. And no, I know people don't like to ask that question, but I think in the heat of competition, we have to be able to say, can you give these people room to get over their stuff? I've seen so many people go on and on about like respectability and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, it's been embarrassing because you all know I'm no Serena stan, but the way people are critiquing this moment is so revealing. It is not because we've watched other athletes work out their emotions and we've seen umpires allow them to work out their emotions, knowing that that's what they're doing. But at no point in time did anyone allow for that language to be used in the interpretation of what was going on with Serena. It was
and they never will.
It was
never
all
will.
But you know, but I don't even have,
blah 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 blah. It's like you're adding too many layers on it.
in 2000, I want to say 2016. That was when Rafa wasn't feeling well, right? That's when Nole finally won the French Open, right? 2016, right? Andy Murray was on the upswing of playing well on clay, right? Maresmo effect. Anyway, Andy Murray was playing in Rome. I'm almost sure it was in Rome, and he hit a ball directly at the umpire. He tried to pretend like he was fucking her, but he was, he was got in an argument with the umpire. They were discussing something on court. The umpire got out of his chair, was talking to him on the court. He didn't go his way. He hit a ball towards the umpire. The umpire turned around and said, "I know what you did." And Andy Murray was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He said, "I know what you did. You did this on purpose." And that was that. Nothing happened. The committee didn't say Andy Murray was out of control, was crazy. The umpire didn't didn't give him a warning. Just give him this quote unquote soft warning. And that was that. No big blow up came of all of that. The umpire did not decide the fate of the match then. So this is what I'm saying. Like, for me, it's just like, if we're gonna be talking about the rules, we have to talk about how these rules are applied, and then the application of these rules are
But
very
you have
selective.
to also know the rules.
But you have to understand that the rules are then interpreted. They're interpreted with a gentleness and a recognition of the humanity of the player. And I'm just saying that we give male players a lot of humanity. And it's not that I'm saying that a female umpire wouldn't do the same thing, because I think female umpires internalize those ideas as well. I just think that, but to say, I've seen a lot of takes. I absolutely do not agree with Billie Jean King around the fact that this is an opportunity for us to talk about letting coaching happen from the stands. That's bullshit. I think that's such an easy get. But you can't talk about is the execution of these rules in these very gendered way. It's not about coaching. That's not what it was about. It was about the fact that in that moment, Serena perceived the umpire telling her that she was cheating. And she was heated because I'm sure that perception comes with a very loaded history, which is why
actually he had accused Venus of the same thing last year.
Both she and Venus react quite strongly whenever anyone accuses them of cheating.
But
they are
guess what?
extremely careful about that. That is something that is
Venus of cheated.
Yeah, I know.
But guess what? Guess what? The rule actually is pretty clear. And it says, Tony pointed this out to me today. The rule about coaching from the stands is very clear. And it says that it must happen between the player and the coach.
So
Serena, it has to be seen from both ends, not just the coach doing something. The player should be reacting to it.
Yeah.
Serena clearly didn't see him. I really, truly think she didn't see him.
Why would she accept coaching from the stands when she doesn't even accept legitimate coaching when they give her permission to do it?
But why would she make herself, why would he be coaching her from the stands? And she's like, he gave me a thumbs up.
But it doesn't matter. What I'm just saying is like...
Well, it does matter because we're talking about the interpretation of the rules, and yet it didn't even happen.
Nobody said that. It's true because people said it didn't matter whether she saw or not. But now you've even clarified that in the rules, you have to have seen it. It has to be an interaction. It actually has to be an interaction like what used to happen with Tony and Rafa.
Yeah.
Like where the eyes...
And what Will Soccer is...
And what a Sasha
is just trying and it's not working. Like whatever the case is. They're literally shouting out advice. There's no hand signal. He's like, move your feet. Forehead. Like, come on.
Okay. However, I just want to say, so we can come back. So I think we just want to come back around and say, listen, for me personally, the Billie Jean take is pointless around coaching from the stands. I don't think this is a moment for us to say, let's let all the wins up, because this wouldn't have solved that problem if the umpire had a gendered and racialized view of Serena. Then he would have perceived any other thing could have also interrupted it, right? So for this to have just been about coaching, no. Maybe the umpire really believes that Serena is a cheater and he would have found another way to accuse her of that. That's really the question, isn't it? So it's like, I don't think that like, oh my God, if we made like coaching on the stands like perfectly a part of the rules, then this wouldn't have happened. I don't think so, because I think the perception of her cheating was really at the core of it. And maybe he would have perceived another way of that. So,
and also I've still seen people who get on coaching and the coach is still in the box coaching. So
I have sat behind coaches at matches, and it's not hand signals; it's verbal.
Exactly.
They're going, go to the net, play to the backhand. It happens all the fucking time.
What I'm saying. This is
signals. But I just think that even if it happens all the time, not everyone is going to get dinged by it, because in some ways the umpires have feelings too. And this notion that umpires are like wholly objective. Because one of the things we realized when we talked about Mo this week was Mo was not objective with Nick because he liked Nick. So the assumption that an umpire is sitting up in that chair and is being wholly objective and impartial, I think we have to really watch that. We have to be careful, because I think this is one of the things that players have always told us about the top guys. He's like, you're not going to do this to the top guys. Sangha said it about Nole in Miami. Other players have said it because they understand and recognize that there is a power differential between the top guys and the umpire. And the umpire would never dare overreach in these moments. And so, but I think what's interesting, and I think what a lot of people are reacting to outside of tennis when you see these pieces, is the recognition that on some level, Serena is at the level of a Djokovic, of a Federer, of a Rafa, and she's still not safe. That's also the subtext of what people are reacting to here, because they are safe. You would never dare mess with their chasing of history. Imagine that.
I know, because Nick needed Mo to come down and talk to him against Federer, but no one dared talk to him, because that was a match where Nick was
playing in a Federer match as Federer is marching towards history, or you know what I mean. It's the recognition, and I think that's what people are reacting to. So when you see these takes, listen, I find a lot of them distasteful and ridiculous, but I do think that what they're also trying to get people to understand is this weird underline, not even weird, but this straightforward racialized subtext, because Serena is the leading person on her tour and she's not even given a pass for that, which all the other players acknowledge that Fed, Rafa, and Nole have, but with her they don't give it to her. It's something she's earned. And so sometimes when I look at the pushback and some of the language that people have been using to critique this moment has been so much about putting her back in her place. I'm letting you know the entitlement. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, have you listened to the top guys talk? They're entitled too, but somehow or another, it's so objectionable when Serena does it. She's the leading slam winner on the WTA side, and she is playing in her home tournament, and you are getting up there and you are telling her that she is cheating. Just listen to that. Think about that. Think about that, how that sounds and how that looks. That means everything that she has acquired to date, you are underlying as a cheat. You didn't even do that to the person who cheated publicly, and everybody said it. So like, I just
Boris came out and said, like, we've been cheating, Sasha. And this is what I'm saying. It's just like, my point is that you can talk about the rules, but if you're not applying the rules equally across the board, then we have to draw back and say what's really going on here. This is full of shit.
But rules always get. Listen, when your rules don't get equally applied, then bias sneaks in
all the time, and that's what is going to be addressed
point. And that's
in any of these think pieces that I'm seeing and floating around. Everything is just like, and here's the thing, people: no one is taking away anything from Naomi Osaka. Nothing is being taken away from her. She won the match. I don't understand.
But you know what? It's tennis's fault. Tennis took it away from her.
Because no one is writing about this match without adding Serena. Serena didn't do this. Y'all can write about the match and talk about the match without adding this affair in it.
But it's fine. Serena did participate, but what we're talking about is people are saying is if this is Serena, tennis allowed this to happen to these two players. It is part of the looseness of tennis's own rules and its arbitrary application that allowed this moment to happen. So whether people are like, "Oh, I feel so bad for," I mean, I'm sure you all feel bad for Naomi because she's been painted as the good minority. She's the good one. We get it. We've seen the weird characterization that's happening around that, the racialized thing, just like y'all try to do with Sloane. I'm just saying, but it's like separate from all of that other shit. This was a perfect storm for tennis. It's a perfect storm for tennis. And I think what the women on the tour who are sort of siding with Serena and saying is that, listen, they notice that their male counterparts are being protected and that Serena is not. And maybe it's unfair that she should be protected, but guess what? Let's all be unfair together and protect her. And there's no protection for her. And that's what a lot of people are reacting to.
Well, and just to backtrack a little bit to the Billie Jean King article, you're right. This isn't a time to say, let there be coaching everywhere. But, we both read the same thing and we both got two very different things out of it because I didn't pay that part of much attention. That's an argument that's going to go on until there's a solid rule that changes it. It's never going to change because everyone does do it. And that's not going to stop. I mean, Sasha coached Naomi from what I understand through that whole match. Sasha from Sean was there and he said he had an eye on her box the whole time. And he watched Sasha tell Naomi to not pay attention to Serena and walk away. And from that moment on, she walked away and she put her head under towels during the changeover when Serena was having her moments with the umpire. She was clearly being coached. I know people don't like it, but Patrick said, you know what? Sasha coached her the whole time. Whatever. Beyond that, Billie Jean talked about exactly what we're talking about, umpires having discretion and whether or not they should be inserting themselves in a match. And did he take something away from her? And she says yes. I mean, I think we all say yes. So like her or not, she has a prominent place in tennis. Mm-hmm. And I think it does matter that she's saying that. I think it matters a lot. And I think it does matter that she, goes on to say that this doesn't just happen in tennis. This happens to women all over the place in every workspace.
But I think for the guys who are like, the Feliciano Lopez who are trying to dismiss this moment and make it seem as if that Serena got outplayed. I think the subtle part of this, and we can move on after this, but is that you have to recognize that certain subtle power plays are happening. So listen, You're right. You're right for the person who's commenting on this. You're right. There were 3 violations assessed. What we're saying is that you don't always have to assess those violations. The racket one, you definitely could. The coaching one, that was open. And the third one, definitely open. Coaching, the racket one is often given because it's so visual and it's clear and you can't get around it. But the other ones were far more subtle. And that is where the umpire had some discretion.
I mean, let's be real. He gave her that violation because she called him a thief. She didn't call him a motherfucker. She didn't say, I'm going to, kill you.
Or a cunt.
Or she didn't swear at him. She didn't even really yell at him. I mean, not really. It was a very controlled aggression. But she called him a thief and he didn't like it. And then that's when he's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to show you who's boss. That's what happened. Now, you have Roger Federer tell an umpire, I fucking talk when I want. You don't tell me shit.
You got a violation, though.
He got a violation.
Yeah, like no point was taken, and Roger didn't.
I know, but the point couldn't be taken. Listen, the point could. Let's not be dumb.
It has to go in order. He can't just escalate to a game.
The point didn't happen.
There has to be a warning first.
It wasn't 3. He was.
However,
1. So let's not.
However, that umpire stood there and took it. He didn't say a word.
Exactly, because he knew it.
And let Federer do his thing. If Serena would have said that to him, I fucking talk when I want. You don't tell me shit. I know the rules. The tournament director would have been out there so fast. You know it.
But this is the thing. Trust us when we say this, but I get it because I've seen a lot of people who I respect on my timeline tell me that this was not a racist or gendered moment. I have seen
Well, according to Catherine Whitaker, it absolutely wasn't. I listened to the tennis podcast today, and I see our listeners talking about it, and it's the only reason I'm bringing it up. Now, we know that I don't listen to other podcasts. I don't. But the headline caught my eye, and I clicked on it, and I thought, okay, it's like 30 minutes. I can do this for 30 minutes. And you also know that if I feel like 2 minutes and I can't do it, I just turn it off. I listened to it, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? I was like, this is why I don't listen to anybody, because they're ridiculous. They're fucking ridiculous. David Law, I think, actually tried to rein Catherine Whitaker in because he noticed in the moment that she sounded like a white privileged bitch.
I'm sure.
But he didn't do a good enough job, because that's exactly how she came off. Exactly how she came off. And it was just like, God, she's like,
Listen,
you can't
this
say
is the
this is
same
sexist.
woman.
This had nothing to do with gender or race. And it's
you
like,
can't decide that. You can't decide that. There's no intersection for you here, so you don't attend to it. Listen,
and I'm listening to this going, says the white woman.
But I mean, we have, listen, let's be honest. This is the same woman that had to have people explain to her what is going on emotionally with Sloane Stephens. Someone needed to explain to her who Sloane Stephens was emotionally, because for some reason, no one is able to understand a person of color or a Black woman like Sloane Stephens, because they only got like 2 boxes and Sloane doesn't fit into it. So we have to understand that things are very difficult for people to perceive or understand that they're occupying. So I totally get that about her. I totally get it. And for a lot of people who are like, Serena's outplayed. She was outplayed. Serena's been outplayed. She has had it happen. It happened in the match with Kerber, and she was fine with it. She handled the moment fine. So don't tell me that Serena can't handle being outplayed. And if you think that you're going to come here and do that whole lecture about this, what we're trying to explain to you is the subtle moments that are happening between an umpire and a player, and the fact that there are loose ways that you could interpret. You cannot misinterpret a racket smash. So that can be assessed a point. Okay? You could assess a violation or a penalty for that, or violation or violation. But the others are really subtle, and it plays with gender, and it does play with race. And if that makes you all uncomfortable because you think rules are just like wonderfully applied equally, I don't know what world you all live in. And I'm like, I don't know what air you guys are breathing, but and we have talked about this. We talked about the fact that people were pissed off with what happened with Nick because of Nick. And they were like, the rules. But this week, everybody's like, the rules should have been automatically applied. I remember last week people are like, let it slide.
Yeah, because that was the thing that people were saying with Cornet.
This week it's
all about the rules.
So clearly we all feel really differently when it's a certain player or when it's a certain moment.
And here's the thing that I'm getting upset with, is that they're not advocating for equality across the board. They're just advocating when it's their favor involved or when they don't like the person.
Who are they?
No, people, like, much of the reaction, right? Much of the reaction that you're getting from people is that they have very strong opinions depending on who it is.
Yes, very much so.
It's generally the very strong opinion when it comes to people of color. The very strong negative opinion.
Control, and it's about policing. I think people need to understand that the umpire in a tennis match is really the police. And it's law and it's order and it's structure. And if you conceive of it in that way, that's what that's about. And that's how that power dynamic is playing out. What usually happens, though, is that the umpire is not perceived as the most powerful when it's a top player on the men's side. It's not there's a sense of equity there. There's a sense that an umpire is not as equal to Djokovic, because Djokovic has some control in that match.
Because he's a fucking dick and he's white.
But I mean, whatever it is,
it's true. It's true.
There's power.
The umpire on a men's side is just because you see how Mo came down and was so soft to Nick.
He coddled him.
But he also understood that the power Nick had in that situation. He could have talked to Nick from the chair.
But he was the powerful one in that moment. He knew that, and he used his power well. He used it soft. That's what he was trying to do. And everybody was okay with that. Everyone was okay with it because everyone was like, let the match continue. What I think is odd is how people didn't want the match to continue in this instant. They wanted the rule of law. Everybody was
and they wanted her out of there.
Everyone was very law and order.
And we forget that people keep talking about this. Do y'all know that Serena was assessed one of the highest fine, if not the highest fine ever in tennis? Ever. And a couple weeks ago, not even too long ago, just several weeks ago, we saw Pliskova broke a chair with the umpire sitting in it. And we no one said anything.
You want to talk fines?
And no one said anything about the fact that the fine was undisclosed. No one asked for rule of law. No one asked for transparency. People were rather quiet about it. Most people, there were no think pieces. Sabalenka, when she lost to Osaka, threw her racket and almost hit one of the ball boys. That didn't become anything. That was on TV.
Listen,
and I witnessed it.
All know that the rules are there for the strangers in the room. Tennis is supposed to be an informal sport with all these relationships, and the presumption of friendliness and the presumption of all of us are part of this club and we're part of this house together. And so the rules are very informal, and that's partly why it happens, I think, is because there is a kind of informality to tennis, and there is the presumption of sort of friendliness on the other side. But
so there's an informality when it comes to white players.
But that's what I'm saying. But different ones though, because it depends on who people decide is an outsider. Not every person of color is an outsider. Some are more insider than others.
Oh yes, they are.
The dynamics changes. James Blake was perceived as an insider. Others are perceived as more threat. You know those dynamics happen.
I want to know where Zenobia got that $4,000 number from. Was that where she says that Pliskova was fined $4,000? Is that what it was? Yeah, I thought we didn't know the fine.
No. Initially it was unknown, but then they said it was $4,000, and it was like a sort of.
So she was fined $4,000 for hitting for racket abuse and a chair. So, I mean, really, that should be 2 violations. But I know how they like to clump things all together in one because, remember, who was it, Baghdadis, that just kept taking rackets out and smashing them? They clumped that all into one. That was one act, even though it was 3 different occasions of abuse. But so Pliskova got $4,000. Heather Watson did something that they just seemed...
$80,000 for hitting a racket on the grass.
To the grass? $11,000 for the grass. There wasn't a person sitting there that could have fallen had something broken. It was the ground, and they didn't like it, and they gave her $11,000. Nick Kyrgios, he made a bottle squirt. You could perceive that a million different ways. We all know what he probably meant, but he said nothing. He just shook a bottle. That's all he did. $17,000 for water in a bottle coming out. $17,000. Yet someone goes after a piece of equipment that if it breaks, someone is sitting in it and could be hurt and gets $4,000. Denis Shapovalov hits a ball and hits someone in the eye. The umpire in the eye requires them to have surgery. Yes, he gets defaulted. Yeah, he did. Mostly because probably the umpire just couldn't see anymore. And they do have to have perfect vision, whether it be natural or corrected. That is in the rule book as well. They must have 20. The chair umpire must have 20/20 vision. That is in the rule book. I read that today. However, he was defaulted. He physically assaulted someone, be it intentional or not, and was fined $7,000. You show me where the discrepancy is here.
Or what about the Bryan brothers? The Bryan brothers. One of the Bryan brothers.
One of the Bryan brothers, and people don't even know what happened, attacked a line judge on court. But because there was
it was after the match. He went after the match.
He hit them, but there was no camera on court, so it was all word of mouth, and USTA kept that fucking shit. Hush, 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 and they got a goddamn slap on the wrist. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so I think... I know a lot of people love the rules. And listen, I love the rules too, because I think rules bring me comfort. They make me feel like I live in a world that makes sense. It makes me feel like life is fair. If I look around and I said, this is the rule. And I feel like, okay, yes, you went by the rule. I know that feels really soothing, But I think what we have to understand is that the rules don't always apply equally across
No,
the
they
board.
don't.
They
They
really
don't.
isn't. And everybody's like,
Because
it's three. It was 3 violations. That means it had to be a point penalty. What we're trying to tell you is that there's some flexibility about whether those 3 things needed to even happen at all, and possibly just the racket one. And so that's just what we want you to just sort of keep an open mind about, that possibility. That's what people are trying to communicate.
and the next time you watch a tennis match, when you see multiple violations, tell me when you see a game penalty happen.
A game penalty, which is rare, because the reality is umpires don't want to intervene in the outcome of a match. And I think the willingness to do that in these high stakes matches at the US Open, for one thing, is really weird, but whatever. So I just want to, I think I want to just round this.
Well, you know what? I just know that, for one more rule, Carlos Ramos better not fucking talk about this, because the ITF officials code of conduct says they're not allowed. So he better not fucking talk to it. They are not allowed to talk
during
about
the tournament.
Oh, no. Officials must not discuss calls, decisions, or anything to anyone with those officials directly, or fans, or anybody without written permission. They also are not allowed to talk to the media or journalists, period. And I will tell you what, I walked up to Carlos Bernardes in Cincinnati, introduced myself, shook his hand, told him exactly who I was and what I do, and asked him about Rafa, and he was happy to spill the tea. And as I was reading these today, I said, oh, well, he shouldn't have done that. He should not have talked to me.
Actually,
because the rules clearly state that.
Serena snitch, but maybe there's like a time.
There was, as far as I was aware, because I looked into this when I was at the US Open, you couldn't talk about it at the tournament. You had to wait. You could talk about another tournament, but you can't talk about it you couldn't give interviews during the tournament per se, unless you had permission. Right. But here's the interesting.
No.
But here's, I'm saying this may have changed. This was their understanding of it. Because
there's that word, understanding.
Because I literally went to the umpire's office and inquired about this situation.
But this is and that's another problem. Like I said, there are too many sets of rules. There are way too many sets of rules. If the rules were consistent, half of the debates that we have would be non-existent.
But
so sexy is the confusion. But
here's an interesting thing that we're not considering here. You're saying that there's this non-disclosure, you don't have to answer to anyone, and as we know, once an umpire says something on court, he doesn't change his mind, right? Yeah. It's only because of Hawkeye why they change a call, but the majority of calls that are being made are not subject to review. A footfall isn't subject to review. Touching the net isn't subject to review. Double bounce, not up, isn't subject to review. A lot of these things are not subject to review, even though we have the technology to stop it. How are these umpires, therefore, have a lot of power in matches? Because we're looking at the players being the one with betting. Umpires are really the real key here to a lot of these betting. They could be looked at as being, hey, umpires are deciding the fate of matches.
This is the first thing I thought about. And I don't mean to be a conspiracist, because I'm not. But I'm just saying, if you give an umpire that much unlicensed and unchecked power, you better be checking that as a tennis integrity unit. I need you to be checking their bank accounts for the next months.
Rule number 11, officials are bound by and must comply with all the provisions of the Tennis Anti-Corruption Program, and it is their responsibility to acquaint themselves with all of the program rules available at tennisintegrityunit.com and to participate in the online Tennis Integrity Protection Program, including the requirements to report any potential corrupt approaches to the Tennis Integrity Unit. So they also have a rule about that.
So all I'm saying is,
here is two things. We know the Tennis Integrity Unit ain't got time for these kind of things.
They don't got budget.
They're more interested in whether Alison Van Oetvang is going to play, is going to be asked to drop out of a tournament, which she's going to drop out anyway. They're more concerned about that. And two, umpires are paid shit money. They're paid shit money. So to sit there, to me, Carlos Ramos is looking at this match. Serena could get $3.8 million for playing 2 weeks of tennis. I'm getting
how much an NBA ref makes?
I'm just listen. Listen,
How much
we're
did
not
NBA ref make?
wait. We're not casting aspersions on these umpires, but we're just saying we're acknowledging a whole. If you allow an umpire to control the outcome of a match, then that sets
And
you
subject to no review or no recourse, because what Mo did, what did they tell Mo? Oh, nothing, we ain't gonna do anything to it. And he literally decided the fate of that match. He changed the match. Everyone admitted to the fact that Nick was in doing shit. He was
He
about
was
to win
gonna
that
retire.
match.
He was
He's gonna
most
retire.
retire. He really was. Listen, because we know Nick's temperament. If he went down 2 sets in that hot heat, we just know he was not gonna be like, I know. Listen,
Yeah.
you know a player, you know their history. I'm not saying you could predict an outcome, but I feel like I'm pretty certain we knew what could have happened if Pierre had kept going and got 2 sets up. So
yeah, because you know he's a matter. I'm feeling it, I'm not feeling it, and Pierre was feeling it for 2 sets. He was. And when he's feeling it, you know my boo is on it. But I'm just simply saying this is something I think, and this is if tennis had journalists, these are the questions they should have been asking.
And I think we have to be careful about that.
The first thing you should have been asking about, oh, it's 3 violations, you should have been penalized the game. You should have been asking, how rare do we ever see someone being penalized a whole fucking game? When we know people behave like crazy uncles all the fucking time. Y'all trying to tell me that family funny needs just does one thing?
Reels,
come on now.
Reels, you got to ask yourself, what's the point spread on that?
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing too. What is the point spread? Because here's the unique thing about tennis betting. Unlike the point spread is so ridiculous because they can change by you win the set, money is going up by you win the set 4-2, 2-1, you want a 2-1 set, etc. These things change decisively on these. Tennis has there's such crucial shifts in the match. I mean, like recently they just fined someone because he got docked. They had to suspend the match because they know he was the better player, and he just simply tapped the first set.
He tapped out.
He tapped out in the first set and then wanted him to reset. And then they asked him questions just like, wow, what was the feeling in the first set? We know how this shit works. But no one is asking these questions. Everyone all of a sudden get on this high hop like, Carlos Ramos is a good man. You don't know Carlos beyond that chair. You don't know him beyond that chair. You don't.
It's true. It's true. And we all need to
really don't know these people beyond that chair. Yeah. I might get a good vibe from Mo, but I don't know how Mo's living. Mo needs to pay for a yacht. I don't know what Ava Azareki.
Well, you're not supposed to influence the psychological
I'm just saying,
well-being, no matter which way it goes of a player. It's in the rules.
Oh, fuck you and these rules, Janina. Clearly the rules didn't matter today.
Because maybe the bettors are not harassing the judges, because here's why. Because the judges can only do so much, right? It's the players. And why the bettors gonna show them to the harassing the judges?
Oh, but no, they did used to harass the judges before we had the electronic scoring. We talked about this way back when. There is a reason why we have electronic scoring that goes more than with just technology, because they weren't reporting the scores quick enough, and they were able to work with the people, the bettors.
Change it,
They were it was this big whole convoluted thing. So that's not true. You don't hear of it anymore because it's not really possible because everything is electronic. But before tennis scoring went electronic, you don't remember when they used to sit in them chairs with paper and pencil?
Oh, yeah.
During those times, umpires were involved in far more betting conspiracies.
And with technology, you can do it better. If the technology, you can do it better.
Well, but now everything is reported quickly and electronically. The issue, if I remember correctly, was that the umpire was kind of holding on to the score so that people could assess what was happening, but there's not in place their bets before the score came out. Yeah. That's what was happening. So, yes, there was a whole thing.
I think we read about that when we were looking at exploring the gambling reports.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. When we were talking about how tennis was hiding all of these people who are involved in match fixing, so it's not so easy anymore for an umpire to do it, but they absolutely did used to be involved in it more before the scoring went electronic.
Look at that context. But look at that context. Look at the context of this moment. This notion of purity that's been imbued in an umpire. But look at look at the historical background.
Yeah, that's what I found really strange. You're just like, oh, he's an ITF gold standard player, not like the ATP and the WTA tour player. They have the same job. They're doing the same thing. They're not beholden to the tour. It's an ITF event. What are y'all talking about?
There are many things to consider. So I mean, so we covered the Serena match.
That tiebreak wasn't against Vitasoba, it was against Miss Baghdadis. What's her name? Oh my god, I forgot her name. But I think it's Carolina Sprem. She was playing Sprem in the second round of Wimbledon. It wasn't Vitasoba. And the umpire just literally stole a point. Just like, girl, Carolina Sprem. And here's the thing about tennis is that you can't change that. You can't fix it.
Yeah, you
Even
can't
though you know that the umpire did something wrong. You can't go back and fix it. No one can, and other sports kind of allow for this to happen. Like in gymnastics, if you give them a score and they're like, the score is wrong, you can file an appeal.
Yeah.
You can file an appeal.
There's no appeal process in tennis.
There's no appeal process here. Is that we could say it's a bad call, oh too bad, whatever, try again next year, or whatever the shit may be. But I mean, look. It just annoys me, that I see a whole bunch of people. I have to block some of y'all motherfuckers. You can block me. I don't even care. But y'all are acting like y'all don't know better about tennis. Know how tennis is.
When you say y'all, who are you talking about?
I'm just talking about what I find so funny about tennis. I guess it could come into this sort of elitism about tennis fans. This idea that tennis is somehow only pure. You can talk about the sanctity of tennis. Generally, when we're talking about players of color, Nick is bad for the sport, right? Nick is bad for the sport. Serena needs to get out of
for the
him.
sport. Ain't nowhere else you're gonna see somebody jacking off a water bottle.
Role model and whatever the case may be.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't know. If
only when we call it Nick, and people have. This is what I'm talking about. And we act like we don't know how tennis is very selective in its judicial manner. It's very problematic in a lot of its areas, and after this incident, what we know won't happen is that tennis won't try to clarify many of the issues that is going on. They won't try to clarify the rules. They won't try to clarify the application of these rules. They will go on as business as usual because we know this is how it rolls. And that is what I find really crazy and problematic about tennis. And the fans try to pretend like this is not a thing.
I think it'll suffer its own consequence, though. Because in order for you to grow, you have to let in strangers. And when you let in strangers, you have to clarify rules, because then there are no protocols. People don't understand how everything works, because you can't go by unwritten rules now. When strangers are in your house, you have to be much more explicit. And I think one of the things that tennis is struggling with is figuring out how to open itself up. And I think, I have to say that I think in these moments when tennis hits the waves and so many people hear about it and talk about it, as a tennis fan, it is so embarrassing how tennis looks.
Because especially when ESPN pans to the crowd of reporters asking the questions.
Yeah, I mean, there's
we are talking about that.
Oh, sorry.
No, but she's right. Let me just say, okay.
I think we need to discuss.
We need to talk about that. Let me just let you know. Everybody knows they make fun of me, but when you leave the house, you dress, okay? You don't got to put on a 3-piece suit. But these people are at work. I am sorry. I did not agree.
My mother said you have to look like you belong to someone.
Wait, Reels. I did not agree with people who were like, you can't judge my looks. You can't. Listen, I will judge how you dress at work. You need to put on a good clothes and you need to comb your hair. You're in a workplace. I don't understand why these people are uncomfortable being on camera. That part of it I don't get. Like, you are covering the sport. Other people are on camera in other sports. I don't understand why tennis was balking at that. And you know what? If you are a responsible journalist, the only person whose point of view I can understand is our female journalists who will get stalked or horrible things will happen to them and people say things online. That part of it I get. But I
saw some pretty awful things to the men too, but
that too, right? That happens. But I'm just like, that part of it I will understand. But this notion that you cannot be called out as a person who's at your workplace, because of how your appearance.
That's bullshit.
That's bullshit to me. You are at work. Put on a good shirt. Make sure it looks
Let's
clean.
iron.
Comb your
Put
hair.
on some deodorant. I don't need to be on TV and looking at you and saying, God damn, you smell. I bet your breath stinks. That's not a good look. It's not a good look. And we all know there are people like that. There are people you can just watch and be like, he got bad breath and BO. We know that. We know this. Let us not pretend on it. And you're coming to work and you're working with other people. And you know what? The players know this. So that's why they're scrunching up their faces and they're like, God, I don't answer any question from this person. And,
This person
and beyond the clothing, people, let us ask intelligent questions. Let us go into the room. Because I saw that Rafa press conference after that Delpo match, and it was so insane. It was so insane. Rafa wasn't saying anything, and they're asking the same question in different ways, and no one is saying, Rafa, you're not giving us any answer. Because we've been through this press conference a million times before, right? Rafa pulls out of a match, says later on a week afterwards, someone else puts out there's a little tear, there is no surgery, just need rest, and then in 2 weeks' time, you're going to see Rafa on the practice court hitting 1,000,000 miles an hour serve, moving like normal because he's ready for Shanghai. He can't play Davis Cup. Let us not pretend like we've not been here before. So all I'm saying is that journalists come to work clean, like you belong to someone, as my mother would say. Don't read this out like you don't belong, like you don't belong to someone.
You don't got people.
You don't got people. You don't. No one can call you their own.
And you know what? I think that sometimes people that don't quite understand how tennis press works think like, oh, well, they got to be conscious of being outside in the elements and dressed for that. No, they're not out there. They're not out there. The hardcore tennis journalists are not outside watching tennis. They're inside in an air-conditioned room all day, all fucking day.
You could put yourself together better. Listen,
I'm not judging. Brian early is wearing a suit every day all over the place. Okay?
We're not judging, but listen, it's not
judging.
Accidental. We're all folks of color on this podcast. We're all Black people. We were taught that you're judged by your appearance. You got to put yourself together, right? You're going to work, okay? It's not all day. Is it casual Friday every day? I don't think so.
No, God, it's not even casual Friday. It ain't Couch Tuesday. Some of y'all look like y'all still on y'all couch.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Ben said print journalists didn't go into print because they want to be on TV. We don't want to be on TV.
Lois Lane and Clark Kent were wearing suits. They were wearing suits.
Reels. How many times have you seen Ben on TV, though? Many. He's been on TV many times. He's been on Tennis Channel many times, not by accident. So when you've already done this, it seems weird to me that you're going to say, I'm not there to be on TV. Then why are you going on TV?
Listen, the players aren't nobody chooses to do all the aspects of their job. But you choose to play tennis, and then what comes with it? Media obligations, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
Blah, blah. Listen, I don't want to go out to the parking lot and put a 500-pound woman in a wheelchair and push her in, but I have to. That's the truth.
We're just saying it's required of the job. Put yourself together. Look decent. That's all I'm saying. No judgment, but look decent.
we're not even asking for real hard stuff to actually do your job. We're just saying, look like you could do your job. Just look like it.
So
well, they didn't like that, but I like it because we often wonder who are these people asking these questions.
Actually,
so I appreciate it.
Because in the earlier parts of the press conference, you can barely hear the questions that are being asked.
Yeah.
But generally, you don't hear the question; you just see the player responding. And earlier in the press conference, you couldn't hear the players actually speak, but you were hearing the journalists. So they fix the sound all together, and then you can see them responding to the question. Because I think context matters. And I think it's sometimes important to see how y'all are asking the question, and you're just like, homeboy, you're sitting next to the woman who just asked that question a while ago. Why are you asking the question again? Like, we kind of need to see you. We generally do.
I don't know if we need to see it, but if you are going to participate in a press
You should be
conference,
ready for it.
fine. That those are the things that are happening in the moment.
And remember, journalists, that you are doing this for the public consumption. You're not doing this for your book, right? This isn't for a book you're going to author notes. You're doing this to obviously share with us. So we want you to not only just share your words, that some filthy, trashy think piece they're going to write subsequently. We want you to share with us who you are. Because we don't even know the publication. We don't, because you know what? Remember, y'all had some, fangirl roll up in there, right? President of the Knowledge Club. So we would like you to not, we like to say your name and your publication.
We should all know who that crazy is.
If you're from a podcast, if you're from a publication, even from a club, we need to know you are such and such from X club or from X publication.
I feel like we missed some things from week 1. So week 1 had the heat rule change back and forth, which was fine.
Girl, look, I really think people need. I don't understand why this roof is there, right? Y'all telling me this roof is only for spot of rain. Look, the monsoon ain't going to be happening in August and September. So that roof needs to be employed for something more than just quote unquote rain. Okay? Y'all can't have Australia heat rule because Australia is near a desert. Okay? Where they're playing it, a desert is not too far off. So y'all can't apply, and it's high summer in Australia, right? So y'all can't apply that same heat rule here. You have to consider that the temperature, climate change is happening. And also for this new Armstrong Stadium, all the general seating, someone's going to die up there. Someone will die in that area.
I wish you could have heard Reels telling me about.
Let me tell you something. I was sweating in the shade. I was sweating in the shade.
I mean, death in there. It really is death.
Listen to me. I went down. Chad and I met Chad at the event. I met Chad before last year, but he was there. And after him, Chad was not looking cute. He's never held time in that subsection. He was dying. It was, listen to me.
Although it's true, because Reels was sweating.
No air is moving.
Like,
no air was moving.
My cheek. Why did you kiss my cheek and now it's drenched in water?
Listen to me. I am so happy. And the unfortunate thing is that in order to get some kind of cool, you have to have an American Express card or a friend with American Express card. Because that's the only place you can get some shade at that open. Look, y'all need to fix that event. I'm telling you, Louis Armstrong is just dead. Because in old Louis Armstrong, they used to have that breeze blowing over from Armstrong. It was an open thing. Whatever gets me. I'm telling you, everyone in the general seating, it was like baking. Imagine like you're at I guess if you're at like an opera and everyone is seating, premium seating, and the poor people have to stand. That's what it's like. You felt like you were poor, and God forbid for those people who because of the way it is, right? One section is completely baked at the top on one side.
Yeah.
And if you're on that side, a few people over there. I think those people live in the desert. There are better ways. But in the shade, I was in the shade all the time for the Key match. Is it Key? Who played there? It was Key?
It was Key. Yeah.
Key played, and I watched the soccer match.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I love that you just said Key.
I know that you think I'm being extra. I am telling you. I was sweating in the shade. Ugh. And then I had to be next to this woman who couldn't keep her shoes on. Right? And I mean, like, it was just, there was no air. And it's a completely different environment, and I almost feel like it's in a different stadium. Yeah. When the Go Farm match happened, people left because they were like, most people were there for the two main attractions. No one had time for the person who actually won a Grand Slam, right? Marion Shillish, right? No one gave this space. Because I was able to sneak in. Chad and I were able to just knock right in and have a seat next to Andre. And there was breeze. Listen, I mean, it was a completely different stadium. That's
you know what? Because those are the paid seats. They really literally say you pay for these seats, so let me make sure you have breeze. You don't pay for these seats.
I don't know. These people, they had hundreds of $millions to pay the stadium, but no one thought about, because here's the thing. We all know because of climate change, which has not completely changed, it's going to continue changing. that stadium is gonna get even hotter.
It's gonna be a mess.
And here's the best part, right? They have they have fans at the top. But these fans are just like, I can't even say the speed is
They're
one
cosmetic.
because that's a lie. The speed is 0.025. That's how slow it's going. Because here's the thing, the fan can't even go fast because one is gonna be just spinning around hot air, and secondly, you're gonna be eating below and have a powerful fan above you. How that gonna work? Like, who thought that was a great idea, right? Your beer is gonna be spilling. There is It wasn't even like there was no thought of cross ventilation. It was like the new cross ventilation should have been a thing, and they were like, "Fuck it, they ain't paying for this seat. None, no air for them." This was like being in a box.
Well,
And you
I
literally
think it was as thoughtfully put together as the camera that they initially put in Armstrong, which everyone hated. It was too high up, and then they had to lose.
Here's my solution to that: rip up all the general seating, rip it all up because
I know
it is.
So you do need to give a shout out to someone, Reels. You did meet someone very special
Yes.
that you
Oh my
had
God.
not
Oh my
yet
God.
met before.
I'm telling you, see, this is why we should have had a midweek podcast. But when we don't have a midweek podcast, and it decide to do shitty things. I met Maya, and oh my God, she's everything I thought she would be. She was amazing. She was like lovely, and you could tell she was like she even checked my friend. She was just like, "Oh, I don't need to play tennis to be a tennis fan. Like, check yourself." And I was just like, "Exactly. I don't know these fucking elitist bitches. We keep acting like you can't be a tennis fan. Like, look."
There's so many elitist people around tennis. Between the assumption that folks don't follow tennis unless you're on tennis Twitter, play tennis to actually, I fucking hate that question.
And you know what I hate about these people? These motherfuckers think they're like 2 weeks away from being like Rafa. No, your backhand totally sucks. You're nowhere near close to be. You can't even get onto the satellite circuit, motherfucker. So stop asking people like, "Oh my God, do you play tennis?" If you don't play football either, but you're all up in the NFL.
I know.
Because I think because the people who are talking about NFL, they're like, "Babe, you can't even move across the room. Much less even you can't even catch a point. Much less even talk about catch a ball. So get out of here with that bullshit." But anyway, she was giving me the drinks, and I'm not gonna refuse that. And talking about the drinks, I'll talk about that separately. Maya was amazing. So she's an amazing person. I mean, like the glasses, that signature glasses, she was just so serious. And she come across as a woman that's like, "Don't fuck with Maya. Don't fuck with her." She look like she's tiny, but that Venus vibe where like she know where she can bury the body and no one would ever suspect her. Maya has that look. But she's very fun personality, and she enjoyed the tennis. It was sad, we were commiserating because we all watched that Venus match. She had to watch it with her friends because I was gonna give her a ticket to go, but she was like, my friends, they didn't want to come. I couldn't. I think I didn't have a ticket for everyone because Reels don't have real cash. I could only get But it's so fun to me, and I have no problem with meeting fans if you're at an event. Generally from that evil, but
I mean,
generally we're not evil. But Maya is Pablo. Maya is a goddess. Right, we've met Maya before, but anyway. U.S. Open, I'm gonna be pinning. While I'll be in all this kerfuffle, I have to send a note to Grey Boots Vodka and U.S. Open. Y'all, I don't know, what did they call it? Something.
Honeydeuce.
The Honeydeuce. Yeah, that shit.
Maya likes the
something.
Honeydeuce, but she doesn't have any. She doesn't have prior years to compare it
to. Exactly. Maya, I'm so sorry, girl, but what you literally got there was, I want to say, you got like a Stella. Actually, I tell a lie. You got a Budweiser. You got a Budweiser level mixed drink. That was Maya. It's crap this year, and it's $17. And you're going to give me Minute Maid orange juice, Minute Maid lemonade.
You have to explain. So in years previous, the Honeydeuce used to be actually like a flavor, like it was actually
right. It used to be like a melon. It used to be like a melon. And they give you those. You get those cure with honeydew melons
in it.
That's what it was.
But this year they changed it. They changed the formula because they must have gone behind the scenes and calculated and was like, this is gonna be cheaper for us. So
because they're banking on everyone is excited about the cups.
Yeah.
And if you're like classist and egregious like Andre, you don't want that cup when it's because certain people name on that cup. You stop collecting that cup.
I mean, I'll be honest. I stopped collecting that cup in 2008, so I don't know what everybody's talking about.
But Andre had no problem buying the drink. She just like, you can have this cup. You can totally have this cup. Let me tell you something, y'all. I have so many cups from people doing such a thing. I have 10 of those cups here. I live alone, people. I live alone. I have 10 Honeydeuce cups.
How many did you actually drink?
A lot.
No, here's the thing. And because I have 10 of these cups along with regular glasses, I drink water now, 1 cup. And a bad habit, 20 minutes later, I need some more water, I get another cup. And I don't think about these things until I have to do the dishes. But anyway, back to the drink. So this drink is now so bad, I don't even think that they're actually giving us Grey Goose vodka. I think they're giving me some like bottom shelf, like I don't want to call. I want to say Smirnoff, but it's not Smirnoff. There's another kind of cheap vodka they sell at the liquor store around this area here. Some kind of Russian name. Yeah. And here these motherfuckers trying to be all fancy, trying to put some Chambord in there, thinking it's all fix it. No, boo. Mm-mm. It's like putting a feather on a pig. You give us a shitty drink. You got us lemonade, Minute Maid.
So now the drink is it's Grey Goose, it's Minute Maid lemonade, and it's Chambord.
McCormick vodka. Thank you. Oh, I knew you would know about that cheap ass vodka, which I'm sure they're making from rice and not potato. Look, it's really disgusting. I mean, it's $17, and that just speaks to the whole class of the U.S. Open, because I feel like it's an event that people are talk about, and the food is just not that great. The food just looks great on paper, and all of these things look sexy in a picture, but the quality of it really is bad. And I think, after time, every time I've been to the US, I keep thinking, I would not bring a child here because I have to be telling a child, look, daddy is not spending his salary to feed you for a day. Like, he's just not, especially in these weather conditions. I mean, like, food is so expensive and the quality is crappy. You're going to have to pay, like, I want to say fish and chips, that's what they're going to call it, but it ain't going to look like fish and chips. They're going to tell you this is like $20. And they're going to get like a small kid's portion. You can get more food from McDonald's kids meal than coming here and spending all this money. And I guess, I think, Andre, you put it nicely. You said, when you're mass producing food, you're not going to get great quality. And I think somehow they need to find a balance to bring better food. You can try to bring in your own food. I've done that, but I mean, you're not going to keep your food cool.
I mean, you can. There used to be, the nice thing about it, if you are traveling, but it's hard, is that Flushing is right next door, and it's tons of Chinese food, so you can always bring your own food. But it's problematic because it's hot, and then you have to walk around with it all day.
Exactly, and you're not going to keep it cool. You're not going to keep it warm, right? And you're going to be smelling like...
You can bring any food in that you want?
If you package it differently.
You can't just bring it. Yeah, I think it was fine. I was able to bring in a sandwich. I went and got a Jamaican patty one day, so I brought that in. They didn't seem to have a problem with it. I don't think you can bring a lot of liquid in. Maybe you can bring a container with water.
You can't take food into Cincinnati.
You can't take food into Cincinnati now?
No, you can take in little stuff like if you have a piece of fruit or something like that. But if you bought food from like a restaurant and you want to take it in, you cannot. But they have a pretty extensive food court there with local restaurants come and cook there. So, I mean, there's a lot of options and it doesn't have to be expensive. You can always find something reasonable. It's not nearly as expensive to eat there as it is at the U.S. Open, but you cannot bring food in, not like a...
But here's the thing, like there is no rule to say U.S. Open can't start doing that next year. And that's the sad part, that they're so capricious with these rules that they can be like, no water, none of this.
It changes. They'll probably figure out whether they want...
Because here's the thing, U.S. Open says you can't bring a backpack on, but you could bring whatever size tote you want. It could be, you could put a body... Once that tote is going over your shoulder with 2 straps, it's cute. But a little backpack, you can't bring that in. Nope. In fact, they would let you put the backpack in a bag and bring that in.
So weird. Okay.
All right, wrap it up.
Anyway.
Anything else we're missing? I don't think so. I
don't really think so. I think we're rather...
There was, but you know what? Also, Sloan Sorry, Sloan. I mean, flame out. Did she flame out?
Yeah, I thought better. I thought she would have known better.
I thought she would, but maybe she looked around the corner and saw Serena was coming and was like, absolutely not. So,
I don't want the pressure. I don't want the storylines. I don't want any of this.
I didn't expect her to get through the first round because that's just the history of Sloan. So she did all right.
Yeah, that's true.
And also,
but never over though.
Also, for Madison Keys. Madison Keys almost got herself to a final. And listen, I didn't think that she was going to defend the final, so that was good.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah. I know. So before we head off, though,
and congrats to Key. Your body held up. Well,
yeah,
body held up.
Great for him. So we had a whole lot of outside discussion, but I think it's good news for Serena that she was able. I think she thinks she's like 80%, but is making finals of Grand Finals.
And the serve is working.
Yep.
Well, yeah. What? I mean, it's kind of like a big deal.
It's a very big deal.
She's again. We put Serena on this pedestal. She's not playing her A game, and she's getting to finals, and it makes me want to slam the rest of the tour, but I'm not going to do it.
But she's an exceptional talent, though.
Exactly. I have to keep that in mind. I have to keep in mind that she just truly is better than everybody else.
Look at Novak. Look at Novak's road to the final. We didn't talk about Novak, but look at his road to the final. I don't think Novak. What did Novak drop a set?
He barely dropped his serve.
Yeah, I mean, this is Novak.
Novak better watch the fuck out. Novak 5.2 put on some weight. Can I just tell you that today, Micah asked me, how old is that guy? And I was like, who? He was like, him. And Novak's face is all on the screen. I said, I'm not sure, like 30. He said, really? 30? Because he looks about 100.
He's hit that magic.
He doesn't look good. He's put some weight on. He has, but his face, he's aged a lot.
Listen. Catherine Deneuve said, you got to choose, right? Your ass or your face. Novak has chosen his ass, face, not sure. I think he's very thin and too frail looking, but that's just, but
he's not as frail.
But he's getting through though. And that's the thing. And here's the thing, because of these slow courts, they're throwing over 80 miles an hour second serve.
Yep.
And winning 60% of them. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, can we just talk quickly about Del Potro? How big is Del Potro, and why is Del Potro serving 5 aces? No free points on those serves.
Because it's Novak. That's why. Novak neutralizes many people's serves because he returns so well. That's just the truth. I don't think Delpo did not serve poorly today. I don't think he played great. I was like watching and I kept saying, why do you think you're going to win these baseline rallies with him? You're not. And when he did, it was a big deal because you know why it was a big deal? Because you're not supposed to win those because you just don't win those against him. And I think there were so many opportunities for him to pull the trigger. I'm like, listen, chances are you're not going to win this match anyways. That's just how I felt going in. So fucking pull the trigger, go for your shot every single time. And I'm quite sure, it looks easier on TV. Reels and I just had that conversation the other day. But if
players
you're
are not that loud. Players are not as loud as you imagine them to be.
But you know what? The other thing too, though, is also I think what I realized is like Delpo doesn't have also a subtle game. Like there was no ball change up.
No,
but I saw so many chances where I thought just fucking pull that forehand out and
drop shot here or there.
I was actually going to say that I don't think Delpo has the imagination unless he's facing Federer, right? Federer, he's taking chances, he's taking risks. And to me, I would have expected...
Well, because Federer's not grinding. Remember,
it's true. Federer gives you a different... It's that right. Yeah.
But I was looking at some of those rallies, and I was like, why are you rallying like this? And the court wasn't helping. So I was like, you know what? But then I realized that Delpo doesn't know how to approach the net. Like, there were a couple times when I was like, this is a short ball. Go up the net, do something, put it away. Don't just loop it back in because Nole had him, and you know how Nole does that metronome thing. He had that whole thing. I mean, that was Nole back. I mean, Robo Nole.
But here's the thing: that forehand is a big forehand, and that forehand can't approach and take a free swing in mid court. as they can from the back of the court, right?
Yeah,
Because
and also
against Rafa, he was taking his time. He built his game up. But no, they don't allow you time to build. Nole is gonna just waste time in a game. Because a lot of times I think when Nole is at his full strength, he dictates every point of the match. So he's gonna tire you out on a service game. Because you can't take advantage of an 80-mile-an-hour second serve.
I know by the time you have his chance. No, I mean there were times when I was like, but the court was disgusting. Disgusting. Because no, I mean Delpo had no kill shot on that court. Like you would hit a ball and I was like, wow, that was almost to the edge of the line.
Right.
Novak's there.
No,
And Nole was there. I was like, locked box. I refuse to deal with Nole 2.0 and a fucking wall of tennis. I can't do it again. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I need somebody to break through, and I need the surfaces to change.
I don't know who y'all gonna get these kind of codes because they ain't gonna be the young children. Children just can't. The children don't have the muscular strength to hit through in this kind of court. They can probably score an upset, but they ain't gonna be lasting to the end of the tournament.
Yeah, that's the sad thing.
It was
Oh,
hard.
fuck, Delpo can't.
Because here's the
Listen,
thing: if Dominic's team had gotten past Rafa, right, he would have had to get past Delpo. And let's say he did, because Delpo was playing in fine form, right? And they had that match last year, which Dominic should have won. Dominic gets to the final. It would have been a shit show against Nolan.
I mean, I don't know if it would have been a shit show. I think he would have tried different things, and I mean, he would have tried to penetrate the court differently.
But the outcome would have been different, though.
I just didn't see it. It just Delpo was very cautious. You know what's interesting? I have to say I was a little bit surprised by that because I actually thought Delpo was going to be real fearless in this final. Because
me too.
It's taken him 8 years to get here, and I mean the slicing. Like he was hitting over on his ball on his backhand when he was playing Rafa. Okay, fine. Rafa wasn't totally okay, but. And his forehand let him down so many times in this match. And I was just like, maybe he was tight. I don't know. But I thought he would just go for more. And that second set was begging to be taken. Begging.
Oh my God.
Begging
that was hard to watch.
Oh my gosh. And then you think about it. You win that second set. You go down a break, but you get the break back. That's like energy. No, it was just like
wasted.
That never, ever came together for him. But Nole was like a locked box. And the court helped. But God, the U.S. Open... you in this damn court.
But girl, according to the man said all the players wanted it. And I don't know who these players are. Maybe they're buried under the court. Maybe the players who asked for are buried because I can't see a single player in any of their games wanted a court like this. Okay. Because no, I don't know these players.
So now we're at the end, and I guess we have the top three players on the men's side are the usual suspects. Novak Djokovic is
that setup is not going to change for the end of the year because I think, although I think I said earlier that Nole wouldn't be number one, but
I think he has a shot. He has a shot.
He has a legitimate shot because he has no points to defend.
No points to defend for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and because he's number 3 right now.
Yep,
he's number 3 right now.
But he's number 2 in the race. So
he's a couple points. He's a couple hundred points away from Federer.
Yep.
So he will at least get to number 2 in the world. There's no doubt about that. By the end of the year, he is 500. He's like
Tony.
He's 535 points behind Federer.
Yeah. I mean, Federer's season's savage. So yes, our favorite went out.
And he's 2,000 points behind Rafa.
Oh, he's got plenty of time to make that up.
Yeah, because by the end of the championship, that is 2,000 points. Rafa don't do well in that arena. So yeah,
Rafa's knees hurt. So let's, his knees hurt.
He's gonna be out for a while. So Nole has plenty of points he can make up in Asia.
Who knows what Federer will play this fall?
Who knows?
Basel. That's it. Federer Basel.
No, I think he's probably going to play Shanghai. He's a defending champ there, so he probably will go back. But I mean,
the boys are going to school then, Federer. Just be like, I'm that thing.
Well, you know what? This is all exciting. I just saw that. So now the next live experience that we're going to have is going to be Laver Cup.
Yeah, because Andrine is going there. That's a rich from my blood.
I don't know if it's too rich, but we're going to have fun. We're going to go see Novak and Federer be on the same team. I'm hoping for some Federer and Novak loving and hugging.
They don't love each other.
But you know what? Federer's gonna troll Nole just to make Rafa laugh.
That's
Just
all
like,
right. I don't care. I don't
look,
care
you
why.
don't get to hug me.
I don't care why.
Oh, it says what does Serena play in the fall? Traditionally, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, if she plays anything again, well, I'll be surprised.
Well,
She's
I mean,
supposed to play.
what did you think about her
Beijing is
saying?
mandatory.
What did what did you think about her saying at some point? She said something like, "You might see me back next year at the U.S. Open."
Did she say might?
It was very open ended, which I thought was interesting.
Interesting. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, he stopped at the end.
I didn't make it to the end.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
Guy, you know Nolan needs a target, right? And you know Nolan fan. I guess
okay. You know what? Listen.
He's gonna get number one.
Listen, Nole was going to get. Listen, this was a respite period for Rafa and Federer. Nole went to cuckoo land for a bit, took a break. Cheated on the wife, did some stuff, and then lost too much weight, got some arm issues, and now he's
baby.
Yeah, and now he's back, and he's probably going to be assaulting the tour with his tennis. So this was a good time for us all. We got some Federer.
Yes.
We got some Federer and Rafa.
Federer got 20.
Got some stuff, but Nole's coming for your wigs, and Andy Murray's not around. So
since Daniel is here, I would like to congratulate him on shoving that player down our throat for the whole year, Vondrousova.
Marketa.
She made some noise, and now we actually know who she is. Congratulations.
I honestly think Daniel is only interested in Marketa because of the name Marketa. She sounds like she's from around the way. She said, "Let that girl, Marketa from she's around the way." Marketa should have been in the quarterfinals. Sure as hell would have showed up a lot better than that double breadstick she got from Madison Keys, I think it was. Oh,
exactly.
Girl.
Oh, who?
Yeah, but Marketa was doing some dodgy shit in that fourth round match. Pulling out, "I'm not feeling well," slowing shit down. But no rules for that, though. Hey, but Tosarenko was doing that. Not Marketa. But anyway, folks, I think we have outstayed our welcome. A lot of you got work tomorrow. But Andre is going to tell us it is only 7 o'clock where I'm from, or 8 o'clock where I am right now.
It's 8 o'clock and it's time for my dinner. So congratulations to all of the winners.
All of the winners, yes. And people know it's not taking anything from Osaka. It's y'all who won't write about Osaka because y'all forgot Angie got 3 majors now. It's y'all. It's not us. We're gonna be happy that Osaka got things, and I'm looking forward to some Haitian spices. I know I am. Okay, so I don't know about you ladies. I'm so interested for more white journalists trip over a woman who is of mixed race as if they've never seen one before. But we're happy that Serena is kind of back. Federer, we need to get you an ice bath because your hair looked like all my life I had to fight. That was not.
Also, we don't know the state of Venus, but we will discover it, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah, we'll all be cheering her. And Millman, that was a really good match. You dealt with the conditions. You couldn't deal with it the next round, but you played a great match. You played a brilliant match. Federer, you're 37, so I'm not even mad at you.
I don't give a fuck about Millman. I don't even care if he was nice. All I know is that Federer almost passed out and he still took it to 4 sets. That's all I knew.
I'm telling you.
I knew something wasn't wrong.
That's why he was my fave. And he didn't retire. Just saying.
We knew something wasn't right when Federer was legit sweating.
It was a mess in there.
You ain't never seen Federer look like that.
Federer is in ash, and he had a fan on, and that fan ain't doing shit.
You have never, ever, listen, you have never seen Federer look like that. Novak said, "I have never sweat like this in all of my career. I have never." This is New York. This is fucking New York. This isn't Australia. This isn't Abu Dhabi. In the desert.
I was
New York City.
I want to say that it, just so people know, because this was always the thing, the humidity was worse at night. So even though people are like, "Oh my God, they're going to get a break from the heat," somehow or another, the way it was working, the boiling that was happening was actually worse.
Because it's all trapped under that place because the place.
You know what? It's global warming. The same shit is happening in Ohio. The same weather in New York is here. It is the same. It is fucking miserable.
Honestly, I was in New York for the week and I was hopping in and out of stores. It was that impossible. Like you'd walk for 10 minutes and it was brutal. And I'm like, I'm going to go into the 7-Eleven just to stand there. Like it was really painful. And then,
I saw Rafa. Rafa looked like he was in a waterfall. Like, I mean, like, he typically sweats a lot, but literally, you can literally see the water pouring off of him in floods. And I mean, like, this is crazy.
It was nasty.
Because that stadium is not environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
So what is
Federer's hair looked somewhat like Rafa's when it started to go bad, and that made me nervous.
I had to fight. That hair was telling me that. That hair was a struggle. That hair was looking like Maria's distressed ponytail. And Federer never looked like that.
Wait. I want to know if we have any listeners, who's going to be in
Chicago?
Austin, Texas. First, Austin, Texas. I'd like to know any listeners who's going to be in Austin, Texas, and who's going to go and look at the talk between Federer and Andy Roddick, which I think is happening on the 18th of September. Please let us know. We'd like to talk to you about it and whether it was great. And then also, if you're going to be in Laver Cup, please, hey, give me a shout out. I'd love to meet in person. Like Reels, I'm not dangerous. I'm not dangerous in public.
She's fine, nicer. Reels might be evil. Might be like, I don't want to meet you.
You're so funny. So that's where we're gonna be. That's where we're gonna be. Whew, gosh, this was. Let's just put this shit to bed like we did Aretha.
Yeah, that's why this is homegoing. I send you all off. But we're not gonna be touching anyone inappropriately.
We're giving a bad eulogy.
A bad eulogy. You know what I mean? But I hope you all have a great week. And you know what? It was crazy. We got so much shit to talk about, but it's like another podcast. We did so much work for you. We went to the gay tennis event. We watched that Fidal documentary. We watched it.
Oh, you know what? We probably will do another taping called like Spare Things or Spare Thoughts.
Exactly. So much things to talk about. And
we sat through the 2000.
We didn't talk about the fashion.
Yeah.
So many things. But you know what? Tennis took over the moment. Okay?
In a good way.
In a good way. But anyway, good night, you all, and thank you for listening. Don't forget to comment below. And we are on Podbean and iTunes and YouTube. So. Ciao. Good night, everyone, and thank you for listening.
I cheated with another podcast, but I thought it was a good,
yes.
station.
Andre had a discussion, a long discussion. Apparently, we can't take her anyway because this was another lengthy podcast. But apparently, I set it up badly. But it's called the night session.
Tennis is night out. It was great.
With Val, and they discuss. Something I think is rather important to tennis, like the economic state of tennis and how tennis is becoming this big luxurious thing and driving away, the quote unquote real fans are people who are just poor people. Poor people who love tennis can't even involve in tennis. It's not even about real fans and not real fans.
Yep.
Even if you're a real fan, you have no money, you can't enjoy these events. Because I basically got to the US Open this year because a friend of mine couldn't go on Friday. And I had 2 tickets. Boom. And, lovely Andre, got me a Labor Day ticket, but it's for Grandstand. So if I was on Grandstand, which means that I had to line up with the plebs in order to be that.
No, you had assigned seats. Don't even.
No. Assigned seats for Grandstand.
Yes, okay.
Not for, because, Daniel, I love you, but, I ain't going to wait around 2 o'clock to watch my kiddo.
You're a mess. Okay.
That happened. So,
all right.
So don't forget, people, to pay it forward at events because I give Delpo fans, and that was the best match for Delpo because they told me. Hope they didn't spend any money for today's final. Hopefully. But anyway, pay it forward, people. Always give away a ticket.
Well, you know what? Congrats to Delpo. I don't think I ever thought he would get to a final. 9 years later. Good on him. I wish he had had a better showing, but that's all good.
Bye.
Delpo, which rapper was on the other side of the draw? You wish he was in the final.
Oh no, he wished Federer was up in there.
Yeah. Cut it out.
Throwing his ass.
Exactly. He would have been close to him and like, fucking hell. I am so happy. I got 2 Rolexes now. But anyway,
All right. Bye.
enough of this mess. Thank you all for listening and have a good night.
Night.
Good night. Mm, okay, we're stopping and I think we will be officially off.